back. Welcome one, welcome all, welcome Blake. Back to the RageSelect podcast right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
I'm Blake.
Yeah. Hey, Blake, how's it going?
Good. Sorry, I've been away for a while. I've just been freshening up on selling some drugs, weed, dabbling a little bit into meth and
Sure.
cocaine. You know how it goes. So, me and a buddy of mine were just working an operation and just making it through the progression of the game.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
We're talking about Schedule 1, not the actual, not the actual game of slinging drugs around.
I was like, wow, it's going to be a spicy podcast. We've got.
It will be a spicy podcast. What's your favorite drug of choice, Jeff?
Oh, I was always a big fan of hallucinogens when I was a teenager. It's a big LSD kid back in the 90s when you used to do that and think really expansive thoughts and consider the world, man. Have you ever looked at
you'd be so dirty afterwards. You'd just be like, oh, man, I'm coming back into reality. Oh, boy. Oh, no.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, the other stuff, I never, like, I used to hang out. I had nothing but weed-smoking roommates, and that was great because all they wanted to do was play video games and eat Taco Bell. And without
that kind
smoking,
of went with them.
Yeah, without smoking any weed, I also wanted to play video games and eat Taco Bell, and so we all just got along really well. But yeah, so you're into the Schedule 1 now, huh?
Yeah, actually, I was looking for something to play with friends and, I don't know, just to throw some hours into. And, boy, it is definitely an intense game day by day. Those games that do that whole, like, you got to save it the next day type shit is always going to get you with that time suck because you can just play one more day. You can just do it. You can just play one more day.
Now, I only played the game single player, but you say you're playing it multiplayer. So are you making other people do are you making them work the packaging machine? Because the packaging machine is the worst.
The packaging is me. I grow. I'm the grow op, and then my buddy will go and deal.
Okay.
Right? So we just got a house, and I've heard a little bit of a rumor about a laundromat or something. So working on our way up. But so far I'm just doing the packaging and he's doing the distribution. I'm doing the packaging and I don't know, building that empire, as it were.
So here's a hot tip. I'll just tell this to anybody playing Schedule 1. I'll tell you this so that you're ready for the laundromat. So like in the game you have like cash, and then you've got like ATM, like the money on your credit card, and you can only like buy stuff from stores with like credit card stuff, and you get the cash for doing the dealing, so you got to deposit it. And so I bought the laundromat, and I was like, is this just like another safe house? And it's like, no, it's not. There comes a certain point in the game where you have a weekly limit to the amount of money you can put into the ATM machine.
Yeah.
So you have to then get like a business and have them launder like $5K.
You're laundering your money. Oh
Yes.
My God, that's hilarious.
Yep. That game is cool. I had to uninstall it. It was too much. It was just too much for me. I was just playing it.
Does that mean that it won over you? You lost, it won? You had to uninstall to actually like get away from it? That's funny.
Yes. Even though, I mean, like I have a really fast internet connection, and it only takes me it would take 10 minutes at most, maybe 5 to reinstall that game. It would take like no time at all.
I think it would actually take it less because I think it took me 4 minutes and your internet is much faster than mine. So I think you'd probably get it in less than like a minute.
Yeah. No, but it's really fun. Like it was one of those things where, we have a story this week. You know what? Just put a pin in how fun Schedule 1 is.
Okay,
we'll come back to it. We've got a story coming up, and I'm gonna pull that pin out when we get there.
You mean a vape pen?
Yes,
a marijuana vape pen. Okay, got it. I get it.
What are you mixing? What are you mixing with your weed? Is it horse semen? Have you gotten to the horse semen yet?
No, not yet. We did bananas. We did speed. We did a bunch of other
Coke
things and Coke. Yeah,
like Coca-Cola.
What I found like interesting is like when you're all mixing it and stuff, it's just like, you mean you got to do that every time? Like I'm just like, that takes so much more time. Just sell what you got. I don't know.
There comes a point when I think you get like a house or like you could for your apartment you can hire an NPC to do like one task, and they actually have a pretty nifty automation system where it's like, I want you to water and pick and plant all of these plants, but then like I want you to get the seeds from this shelf, and then I want you to put the finished plants on this shelf, and then I want you to take all the finished plants off this shelf, and I want you to put them in the mixer machine, and then I want you to put them on the packaging machine, and then I put the exports on this shelf. So by the time I got done, I was like, Man, all I gotta do. Yeah, well, no, it's just like every morning I just wake up and I run to my house and I pick up all the finished product. Then I run over to one dealer, hand a bunch to them. Run over to another dealer, hand a bunch to them.
You had automated to the point you're done.
I got all afternoon.
Not much more you could do.
Yeah, I got to go down to the laundromat and get 5K going, and then it's such a weird like.
That game definitely hits a really weird itch, and you just keep going and going. You're chasing that dragon.
Yeah, it makes it sound like so clandestine. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that somebody's having fun with that. There's too many games out right now, and I'm having a hard time picking one. I don't know. I got one that I beat, but I'll talk about that one next week. But I actually watched several movies, and I wanted to talk about one of them because I thought that they were a real mixed bag, and one of them I think was a little bit better than the rest of them. This week on VOD, the movie Drop came out. Have you heard of Drop, Blake?
Nope.
Okay.
They dropped right through my fingers.
Drop is it's from the director, but not the writer of Happy Death Day and a few other horror movies. And it's basically about like a woman on a date, and she starts getting airdropped messages in this like really fancy restaurant from somebody that's like trying to like make her do stuff, and she's trying to like to not like, because the messages are like, if anybody figures out there's something happening here, some bad shit's gonna happen, and so it was kind of like a thriller, right, where you just kind of have this like looking at your phone and having all these like messages come up, and then there's like kind of a nice little tech thing. It also was pretty cool. It had a good style of like a few shots where it would like it would like darken everything around the character to make them feel isolated, or do these kind of things where it would highlight certain people, like some interesting kind of nice cinematography stuff. I had no idea who any of the actors in this are, but it was good. Like it was. Well, the thing is that I was watching it and I was like, this is like okay. And then I know that a movie is good if I don't stop to smoke like 4 times. Like the number of times that I pause it to go smoke, the fewer there are, the better the movie, because it's just like, yeah, let's go. And so it was like an hour. It was like a 90-minute type of thing. It got a little bit cliche towards the end. Like I kind of wished that the ending was a little bit more. It was a little bit more clever, but it was a solid watch. Like I would definitely recommend. Like if that setup sounds interesting, that if it was if it was like Max or something like that, that it would probably be like just a fun kind of afternoon, kind of movie. But yeah, I'd heard about it. It had some good buzz when it came out in the theater, and I watched it, and it was pretty good. So I don't know.
It's a little. It looks a little. I don't know. It's got a lot of cliches. What you're saying is like first dates are always the hardest. Like,
right.
I don't think I've ever had a first date where somebody's trying to kill my kids, but Jesus.
Yeah, it's got some. It was pretty good. I think it's actually got a really bad title. Like I don't think that, because like this is like message drops, right? So like
yeah. It's like an airdrop or whatever.
An airdrop, yeah. And so I think that like there's the implication about like like your kind of your stomach dropping, and it's kind of like the restaurant they're at is up in this really high rise building, and so there's all those kind of other implications. But I don't think that the main thing about the whole like airdrop thing, I don't think that like translates when you just see a picture of a lady with a phone and it says drop, and you're like, ooh, I mean, this is about sinister airdrops.
Yeah. It's like, what?
But yeah, Megan Fahey, I guess, she was the lead, and then this Brandon Sklenar. I have no idea who that guy is.
Brandon Sklenar.
I've never, like, I guess this Megan lady was in The White Lotus, but I've never watched that. So, yeah, she's been in a few things, but I don't know any of these things. But yeah,
nice.
Yep. I also watched The Woman in the Yard, and I watched this movie with it's called The Woman in the Room Next Door or something. It was like Tilda Swinton and what's her name, Maude from The Big Lebowski, Julianne Moore. That was that was from the Spanish director that I've seen. He did a few very strange movies.
Guillermo del Toro, but I'm not sure if that's the.
Yeah, no, his name is like Alamar something. The Room Next Door. It's Pedro
Almodovar.
I know that he did a movie that I probably is not held up very well called. It's called like The Skin I Live In or something with Antonio Banderas. It was a real weird, very weird movie that has some stuff that like it has some kind of, it's kind of a horror movie built around a transgender type of thing that's happening, and I don't think it would come off. At the time that it came out, it was an interesting movie, but I think it would probably come off as insulting nowadays. But
it's almost like every movie from what I'm looking at here, it just seems like those are Criterion films or something.
Yes. I mean, I watched this short called "The Human Voice" that he did with. I love Tilda Swinton, and so I'll watch her. And this was just like Tilda Swinton on like a half a stage. It was like 40 minutes or something. It wasn't even like a full movie, just kind of doing like a one-woman production that was interesting. I don't know. All these things were yes, they were very artsy. Even that other one was very artsy. It was good. It was just, it was a lot. So
definite the flavor of you have to be into this to actually quite enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those films are very hit and miss with me. I have to be in the mood for them, and most of the time I am not. So.
Yeah.
It's definitely the Tilda time.
Yeah, I don't know. I often wonder what is the crossover here on RageSelect between. I mean, I'm not making any value judgments, right? There's parts of my life where I'm like, hey, do you want to hear somebody's opinion about this movie about two ladies like in an Airbnb, and one of them is going to kill herself at some point? And I'm like, no. No, I don't have any interest in that whatsoever.
Yeah, that sounds very rough.
So, in the most jarring segue of all time, let's use that to jump into the news and talk about a movie where a lot of people, or a video game where a lot of people die.
Was ass, to be fair. Yeah.
Yes. Another game that's connected to a movie that may or may not resonate with people. We got a Borderlands 4 State of Play deep dive this week on the PlayStation Store. This was very weird. I don't know. Blake, before we get into this, let's establish our bona fides a little bit here. What are your overall feelings about the Borderlands franchise?
It's fun. I've definitely played 1 and 2. Never really got past the whole hey, go here to do this, go here to do that, first person. It just there wasn't enough of the I don't know, the mechanics to keep me hooked. It just seemed very much a first person shooter. Cartoonish style, which has its it has its fun, but I just think that when Borderlands came out, I don't know if I was more into I don't know, the Skyrims or just something more this is very linear, just point A to point B to point B. It's you just basically have to keep going in this open world of doing these tasks, then trying to get to the further level. So it was fine. I played the first one and second one, but yeah, I never really went past that. I never really got hooked as some of the Borderlands people did.
You didn't play the pre-sequel or
no? That was another thing. Is that just fucking those naming conventions confuse me. The
Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which is a D&D campaign.
There was I remember a lot of criticism of the game is just their characters are, I mean, at least for the movie that's most recent in my mind, is just are very forgettable, and a lot of success of franchises that I actually dive into quite a bit have to have that recurring character or a character that I could resonate with, and I just don't feel the only one I remember is Claptrap. You know what I mean? That's very strange to me. So that also I think wasn't something in the forefront of me to be this game is my thing, and I'm going to be able to go from Borderlands 1, 2, 3, 4, follow the story. I just didn't. It didn't resonate,
Yeah, no, I get you. I think I'm very much on the same page. I've tried a lot of them, and it's to me, one of the biggest criticisms that I have, and this, I don't know, some of this is changing that up a little bit, but there were two kind of big things that stood out for me. One was that the franchise didn't seem like it changed all that much. It always just kind of seemed to be the same game with some minor tweaks. Yeah, this one's got a different set of powers than the last game, but they're this kind of there's big lootathon where you're trying to get, you got the big loot RNG explosion and you're trying to get kind of like fun stuff, but then the moment to moment action is just like, okay, well then go here and there's a million guys, shoot them, and then go here and there's a million guys, shoot them. And because it was open world, it was like your character didn't really have a lot of, like, I never got connected to any of the characters because they're kind of silent protagonists. Then then this is one of the things that actually they talk about in this video. Borderlands 3, then Borderlands the pre-sequel, and then Borderlands 3 also got a little bit like goofier, like a little bit more extreme of just like, here's, can you believe it, the guy's got a shark for a head, I'm claptrap, kind of.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, if you're not going to take yourself seriously, then I'm not going to take you seriously, which is weird in a game with like huge, almost Serious Sam levels of like violence and combat for the game to be so goofy. And it's like, well, the stakes don't really feel, because then when they try to be serious, you're like, don't try to be serious with me now.
It doesn't dabble into that very well. And it just seems like they're trying to find itself into the games that they're making versus actually knowing what it is as they've made it. That's my takeaway from it, just because I never feel like it's more than just a first-person shooter in an open world that you go, like you said, go to this area, shoot these guys, clear these guys, cool, go to this area, shoot these guys, go back to the base, collect your reward, get more loot, go, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's very much the same thing, and there's not a lot of dynamic there.
Yeah.
So I would think that this game will do fine, but it won't actually... This to me feels like a dying franchise. I don't feel like this game is going to respark anything, and I think we're probably going to be left with maybe a Borderlands 5 in a year or two, and then probably nothing after that.
Maybe
sometime.
I mean, the other thing that I keep coming back to is that I often though feel like the people that really enjoy this game, that it's kind of similar to the people that are really into Destiny, where it's like, I think that there's a group of people and it's like, I want to play this with my friends. This is how we hang out. And of course, it's not a bunch of jabbering cut scenes, and it's not a bunch of stuff where you have to think super hard. It's like, no, I want to get on with my buddies, and we're going to go and we're going to take out a bunch of these stuff. We're going to try to get legendaries. And we're going to finish these quests, and then we're going to all say good night. And I don't want the game to be so in my face that I can't keep talking with my buddies, like that we have to stop talking every 10 minutes to get some thing. No, I just want to go to this map. I want to get an objective. I want to go there. I want to blast it. And at the same time, I can hang out with my friends, because there are games that lend themselves really well to that. Like I've always said, there are games that are more like, I think of them as like podcast games, where they're games that have a low enough narrative component that you can just put on a YouTube video, or you can put on a podcast and you can play them, and you don't have to keep pausing it. You don't have to keep interrupting that experience. You're able to just kind of have this game going on. It's not so engaging that you can't also be listening to something else, and it's not interrupting you all the time. And I think that Borderlands might be a game that it's more for that than it is for like, I want to sit down and play a narrative video game. That it's more. And the reason that I probably don't enjoy it as much is because I am just playing it as a narrative game. And if it's trying to be kind of less obtrusive so that you can do it with other people, if it's kind of expecting you to be injecting this more social element into it, then yeah, it probably didn't resonate with me as much as like, Destiny didn't resonate that much with me, because I was like, what? Then you just go here, you shoot another million guys, and yada, yada, yada. But, let's talk a little bit about what's actually in here, because there are a couple of interesting things. The story, we got the story where it turns out that there was a moon there was like a planet under the control of like this baddie, and there was a moon at the end of Borderlands 3 that apparently got like transported and broke the kind of shell that was protecting this planet. And so you've got like the Vault Hunters are kind of coming in. You get this sort of uprising of the people on this planet against this kind of authoritarian like dictator. I don't know. The authoritarian dictator seems really serious, and I don't know. One of the things that I do really remember about all the Borderlands is Handsome Jack and all of his dumb shit from Borderlands 2, because he was an eminently hateable character that really made a big impression. But the game is open world. It's a big open world. They show that there's a lot more like there's like a glide now where you can jump and you can kind of glide, you can climb stuff. They show that there's like a vehicles that you can get in. very much out of Destiny, very much like the little summon
they're
vehicle.
definitely leading into the open world. I guess the element of open world and making sure that you're not limited to. I mean, I remember the first few Borderlands games. The walking was some of the most boring parts of the game, where you actually had to traverse the terrain without much of a. I don't know about that. Maybe in the later stages you had more of a speed element there, but it just seems like that's something that is always kind of, added to that element of. I guess boredom is the wrong word, but just monotonous. So yeah, I think maybe having more vehicles would make it more interesting.
Actually, now that I think about it, not to contradict you or anything, because I think I kind of forgotten about this, but
I don't remember. Yeah,
there were vehicles in the Borderlands. Like I remember there were like these like warthogs that you could spawn. Yeah, and you could put a bunch of people in
maybe
them.
That's true. Yeah,
I think
maybe
that was
I haven't played Borderlands in forever, but yeah, I think the having elements of vehicles is always going to be more in your favor if you're in the open world. So yeah, it looks like there's flying elements now, which I don't know if that's more like a ghost, I guess, but
kind of gliding. Yeah, but it looks like they've got more of like the sparrows from Destiny, these kind of single seat spawn on command. Because I think that the vehicles in the previous game, it was like a warthog basically that you could spawn in like a town, and then you guys could all go get into it. But I think the idea here is that like you can't lose it, you can't destroy it. This is just a thing that you can just kind of pull up whenever.
It's a part of your suit. Yeah.
Yeah. They showed a few of the new characters. One of them is what are they called? Like the sirens, I guess, like Lilith. This one has like they have kind of some big like kind of psychic claws that can come out. They can also summon like a big energy like saber-toothed tiger whose belly you could scratch, which is pretty fun. The other character is a Tedior mercenary, or I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's like one of the brands of the guns in the game. So they work for that corporation, and they're able to like manifest these weapons that'll like pop out like big claws and stuff that they can go. They did show that it seems like there's like before there's 3 different skill trees that you can go down, but that it seems like you can switch between them a lot faster now than you used to be able to. The guns, there's all the gun brands from the previous one, as well as a new gun brand based on the planet that's like a charge shot thing, and then there's like another one that I forgot about because I watched this 2 days ago, and I'll be honest, like I don't know if you're into. Well, it's hard to keep the information in your brain because it's just like, man, I don't really care about the name.
Information dump, but it seems like based on what you're saying and based on the shots of the video, they've tried to optimize what worked in Borderlands and tried to optimize it hard, and now it looks like they're also adding other elements of, well, maybe we take this flavor, or maybe we take that flavor. So,
right.
It does look like if you're getting back into Borderlands, this could be the one for you.
And who knows? Maybe the thing is that this was just a sauce that was a little too sweet, right? And they just toned it down a little bit. They took a few things. I'm just like, oh, wow, okay, no, now I see what everybody else was seeing. They also talked about there's like a zip line. It's returning characters, like this character, Amara, was from the last game. One of the really interesting things they talked about, though, is that it used to be that the guns in the game were all, you would get a gun and it would be of a specific brand, and that brand would do, like, they had different, one of them is like more ballistic, one of them is more energy weapons and stuff like that. Now they've remixed it so that the guns, each gun has like a base, but then they can have parts from different manufacturers. So can they have like a TDR base, but then a scope from one of the other ones that has like a holographic sight that you wouldn't normally see on one of those guns, and like underbarrel stuff. So it does seem like they've done work in trying to remix the gun system so that it's not just like, yeah, you just pick the gun you want, and then you just kind of get whatever the highest tier version of that you can find is, and you just go with it, whatever. So that's a change. They also talked specifically about how they heard feedback from Borderlands 3, and apparently in Borderlands 3, the drop rate for like legendary weapons was really high, and so they felt very inconsequential because you were constantly getting legendaries, and they said that they've adjusted that down so that legendaries will be a lot more rare, so that when you do get them, they feel like a big event. If you see that orange legendary like glow, you're just like, oh shit, that's something really cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They also talked about how they said they were toning down the goofiness that I talked about before, where they're trying to make it a little bit more grounded story. They're trying to make it a little bit more serious. I do think that comes through in here, where there is a little bit of goofiness, but in general, it seems like they're trying to take it a little bit more seriously. So who knows? There's more to it than that, but I think that, that's kind of the general overview of what's going on. The thing with Borderlands is that Borderlands, graphically is like mostly art style, right? With the cell shaded and the kind of character designs. I don't think this looks appreciably that much different than Borderlands 3. Like, obviously a little sharper, obviously a little bit more fidelity, but like nothing where I look at this and go, holy shit, that's a huge change. Like, it's still, I don't know. It could be that thing where you're just remembering what, I'm comparing this to what I remember Borderlands 3 looking like, and if I actually loaded it up, I'd be like, oh, holy shit, no, this is way better. But
well, not to go to the state of the 3D graphic industry that we're in, or let's say a plateau, but that's what it feels like. It just seems like this doesn't seem out of place at all in the graphics today. So you're not going to be like, oh, this just feels like a PS2 game or a PS3 game or whatever.
Right.
This feels very much like a cell shaded shooter that has exactly the details and shading that you need.
Yeah.
But it's not going to differentiate itself too far from 3 or anything of the latest generations. And that's something that maybe as time goes on in these next 10 years that we'll see, hey, what does that development look like on a graphics engine? Because it does seem like we have hit a ceiling. And if we're going to go through that ceiling, what is that next ceiling going to look like?
Ray tracing that actually fucking works at a good frame rate.
Hey, more tracing of rays. But yeah, no, seriously, that's the more excitement. But yeah, this game is exactly what it needs to be from the look of it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't differentiate too much from the third one or any of its predecessors, and I think that's something to notate from this, is that it does know what it is. From that sense of it is a sequel, it's doing more optimization, but it does feel like a Borderlands game while looking at it. So.
Oh, they also said that because you have a heavy weapon slot, like in Borderlands, you have 4 different weapon slots that have I think it's a pistol, a shotgun, and something else, and a heavy weapons. They did actually talk about how instead of being ammo capped, that the heavy weapons slot will just be on a cooldown, where you just pull it out, you use it, and then it has a cooldown to encourage people not to hoard it, to encourage people to actually use it, keep using it, use it when you want to, as opposed to just hoarding it for boss encounters. But yeah,
sense.
These all seem like good changes. I think that Borderlands 3 did pretty good. I think that it sold relatively well. I think that the big thing this year is just going to be they're putting this shit on Front Street. They're putting it out. This came with a release date, and that release date is September 12th. So that's that's the hot zone, right? That's a hot seat right there. You're getting later on in the year. We're starting to get towards the holidays. It's not quite in the October range when you start to have to compete with your Call of Duties. And very specifically, the biggest question here is, well, actually, no, this was a question. I'm sorry, I forgot about the news. The question has been, everybody's been scared to put stuff in the later slots from this year because Grand Theft Auto has been looming large and nobody knows when it was going to come out. Yeah, and actually, we can just use that to jump into that because that happened. We were supposed to record this podcast a day ago, and between then and now, it's GTA has been delayed. And so, yeah, let's just talk about that real quick. GTA has been delayed, and it's coming March 26th of next year. I'm sure that everybody out here is now breathing all developers are breathing a huge sigh of relief, because this means we can start stacking the calendar for the end of the year. We don't have to be holding back. What's his name? Andrew Wilson and the 2K guy. There's been a few places where it seems, not the 2K guy, he's it's a 2K game. There's been a lot of CEOs who have been a little bit nervous about putting anything on the docket and then suddenly having it run up against fucking Grand Theft Auto, because we've had one trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6,
because they had to.
Yeah,
right? Because I feel like if they would have, I believe it leaked or something leaked. This is not the original engine leak that happened a long time ago, but I feel like something was leaked of the trailer and then the next day the trailer came out. So I don't know if that was a planned release or if they were just reacting. What I was going to ask, essentially, with the story in general, is that they just announced the release date, what, like 4 months ago?
Oh, of Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah.
No, well, it was like, it was rumored for just like autumn. It didn't have any specific release date. It was just it was hanging out in the back quarter of this year, just like like a fucking Death Star, just moving over the calendar, and everybody was like, "No, I don't want to be in the blast radius." So
well, and it's I guess more to the point of this is like the question just becomes, why even have a release date? You know, I guess it just because of the shareholders and stocks of these companies need something to point to that's like, okay, this is going, because at this point, May 26th of 2026, it almost feels like it's going to get pushed again, right? We're that far removed from it to be, you know, now it's in May. Why just not wait for the next cycle of the holiday season? Right?
So there's actually a good reason for that, and a lot of that is that the holidays tend to be crazy. You've always got like a Grand Theft Auto, or not. You've always got Call of Duty. Like you've always got a few other things. There's EA is currently working on a new Battlefield that apparently should be coming out later this year. So you say, yes, you could put out Grand Theft Auto 6 up against Call of Duty and they could duke it out, but like, wouldn't it be better for everybody to just move it out of the way, let those guys do their thing? Rockstar is making so much fucking money on GTA 5 online. They're not under any pressure to get this out. Like the fans want it, yeah, but like they don't have to do this. They could keep putting it off. But there's also a precedent. This is the the Titanic effect, right? Where if you put a game out on the off season, if you put a game out in the middle of summer when there's not a lot of other stuff lined up against it, you could sell even more, because it's like you don't have to fight with fucking anyone. The schedule outside of, you know, indies and the normal stuff that you get, there'll be some other poor games that come out and have a problem. But if the schedule is clear, and especially if like Grand Theft Auto 6, if you put a release date for that, everybody's going to back up, right? Everybody's going to like try to either release earlier, they're going to push it out until later in the year, so you'll get a little bit more time to yourself, and it'll be such a huge launch because you won't have anybody. There will be no other distractions, right? You're there. It's not like there's another game that's coming up against you. Everybody's just like, fuck it, it's May, there's nothing out, I want to get Grand Theft Auto 6. And so this is a good move for them. Pegging a date for it is good. I think that it probably will come out then, like based on that trailer and based on the amount of time they've been working on it. I think that it's probably pretty ready to go, but that they just want to, you know, this is obviously a huge launch, right? So it's not just like, well, you know, like you could spend a little bit more time polishing this up. As I said, it's not like they need money. It's not like they need capital. I think that they're more interested in making sure this gets out correctly at a good time than, you know.
Maybe I'm too negative, but do you see a way this game fails at all?
No.
It's like it's like nothing of what this could releasing it unfinished. Don't think that's a big deal, right? Releasing it in a window that's not a holiday season doesn't seem like that's a big deal. They could release this and still make bajillions of dollars. That's what I find to be crazy, which is why I prefer don't put a release date, just work on the game. And yeah, maybe you can't keep it a secret for that long at that point, but it's like, then release it like the next day or the next month, right? Like,
well, with something this big, you have to retailers would get pissed off. You have to have the pre-order amount of time. You know, console holders want that. The customers want that. The retailers want that. Everybody wants the pre-order time. But yeah, I don't think there's any way this could completely, I mean, unless it's like literally unplayable, like unless it comes out. The only thing that I can think of is there is a very good chance, and we're going to get to this in just a minute, there's a very good chance that this game could be MSRP of $100, that they could just be like, listen, it's $100, it's on you. And right now, I don't want to be negative Nancy or anything, but like, man, everybody was complaining about the price of that Switch. Those Switch 2 pre-orders sold out instantly. Like, it's not like they were left on the shelves. It's not like Nintendo isn't banking pre-orders. Like, there's a difference between being mad about something on Twitter and then actually being like, so I'm not going to play Grand Theft Auto 6, and I don't care how sick it looks, and I don't care how good it is. I'm going to wait for it to be on sale, because it will eventually, and I'm not going to let the FOMO take me over. So
I think that without getting too far into the whole economy thing, I think the pre-order switches and all that stuff sold out because it has not hit yet.
Yeah.
I think in terms of when that impact happens, people are going to be the Switch 2 that they pre-ordered is the least of their problems, right? It's going to be much more problematic for the longevity of people spending $100 on one game, and I don't know where in the video game lineage of where that has existed in the past, because I know that there have been PlayStation and SNES games and all that stuff in the past that have been $79.99 before in that environment. So $100 a game, there is a point where people do not have expendable income where they're not going to be able to spend it on more than one game. Maybe Grand Theft Auto is that one game, but I think that's where we're going to start really seeing a depth and severity of the pendulum of which game are people buying, right?
Oh, that pin is vibrating. It's vibrating.
Yeah,
it's about to pop out.
Vibrating pin.
Well, that's a great segue, because one of the other things that happened last week, and yes, I'm with you on that, and I think that this is going to be a really interesting thing to see how it works out. Not good, but interesting. What they say, it's may you live in interesting times, is like a curse.
We've heard that one before.
Microsoft is raising their prices across the board. I think it's fucking ridiculous, but let's just go through them. Xbox Series X is being bumped by $100 to $600. Some of the first party Xbox games are expected to go up to $80. Thank you, Nintendo, for setting that precedent, so that within 3 weeks of that announcement, Microsoft is like, yeah, us too, $80 for Forza. The Series S is moving from $300 to $380. The Series S 1 terabyte is moving to $430. The Series X Digital Edition will be $549, and the 2 terabyte Galaxy Black Special Edition Xbox Series X, just regular Xbox Series X, $730, more than a PS5
Pro. Let me do you a favor.
Yeah.
You're going to spend $730 on an Xbox Galaxy Black Special Edition. Buy yourself a PC and do yourself a favor and have more than just an Xbox at that point.
Or
that is insanity.
Buy a PS5 Pro until the price goes up, right? Like, I mean, at this point, $700.
I look at the Xboxes. They are doing this obviously to keep up, but they are already so far behind. You know what they should do? They should just say, everything else is free because we're no longer making Xbox. We can literally live on the Game Pass. We can live on these games that we can then work with other platforms. And it's just like, this to me just seems like, putting more fuel on the fire of why Xbox is just never going to be what it used to be, going up against the big three.
Yep.
But
they're base controllers jumping up $5. Wireless headsets $120 now. This is happening across the board. It's happening in the UK. It's happening in Australia. It's happening in America. It's happened the whole time. Let's just real quick. Let's just take a brief sojourn over here. Microsoft earnings just came out. Microsoft's actual earnings were up like 15% or something like that due to Azure stuff. Like, the thing is that it's up 20%. Cloud growth, revenue up 20%. Yeah, revenue is up 13%, and net income has increased by 18%. Microsoft was expected to report $68.42 billion in revenue. I don't cry for me, or don't we keep coming to this thing where it's like, yo man, the Xbox is a mid-tier system, right? The PlayStation 5 has a faster hard drive bus, and the PS5 Pro has better ray tracing with the pisser stuff. The Switch,
and people like it more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's outselling both of the Switch and the Xbox. So clearly,
the Switch is you can take it with you wherever you go.
Handheld market.
Got Mario on it. It's got Animal Crossing. It's got your favorites on it. Microsoft is putting their games on the PlayStation, Blake. They're already on the Xbox and the PC, and they're on Game Pass, and they're available on both those platforms on day one. Now, I know that the next step here is to raise Game Pass prices, and I think that people aren't going to be quite as shocked because, one, if you wanted an Xbox, you probably already have one, and then two, if you have an Xbox and they raise the price of the games to $80, you've got Game Pass, and you can, like, Game Pass is a better deal than ever at that point. The only thing I can say is that at least with Microsoft, unlike Nintendo, those games will go on sale. They will be $80 at launch, but they will at least, there'll be a fall sale, there'll be a summer sale, there'll be a blah, 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 right? As time goes on, like most games, they will depreciate in price. But, like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, you're in third place and you're just like, give us more money for the one console that doesn't do as much as the other ones. And it's like, what the fuck are you smoking, man?
Where they're going to get rid of all of their hardware equity, and they're going to live in they're trying their best. They're salivating at the idea of we could charge them $99.99, $100 a month for Game Pass eventually.
Yeah.
Do that. Right.
I mean,
and so that's what they're going to try to hopefully get to, I think, is they're going to try to go, look, we tried to do this with Xbox One to make it the cloud gaming system platform, right? Now knowing that they're going to be losing that hardware part, they're just going to try to regain that value in the Game Pass, which, good and bad, you can look at that and go, okay, what is the value that you would get buying one game versus a lot of games? But that all depends on the platform itself and the marketplace itself. How good is it going to continue to be? It's pretty decent right now. Everybody's talking about, I've been around social circles with yourself and others, and people are talking about that Blueprints game, and they're talking about the 1033 game or whatever the RPG game that everybody's like raving about right now.
Oh, Expedition 33, Claire Obscure. Yeah, yep.
So you have these home runs essentially on the Game Pass, and that to me is where that revenue is going to be much stronger in the future. Nothing with hardware. I mean, almost hardware is almost like you're losing money. So you can look at all that revenue and the plus of Microsoft right now from their new quarterly earnings. It's like, yeah, but if you actually remove the hardware part of that, you know how much higher it would be. You know what I mean? Because it's probably bringing it down a little bit.
Sure. And now we've got a few minutes left. Let's grab that pin. Let's grab that Schedule 1 pin.
Vibrating still?
Yep. Pull it out. Because here's the thing, man. I've been thinking about this. I was talking with Bryce earlier today about this. $80 fucking for Starfield. Are you fucking kidding me? How much is Schedule 1 on Steam? How much is the game that you and I both got so obsessed with over the course of the week? Was it like $10?
It's 20. And that to me was such an easy.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else right now, such an easy, and that wasn't on sale, by the way. It was not on sale. That's a full price.
How much is Balatro? It's like $12, right? Like, how much is, what I was just playing? There was a game that came out. Here's Kyborg, which is like a fucking Arkham Asylum, like the punching stuff. This is $20. Like, the thing is that I think I've never been more on the. I've never been more in the pocket of like, you want me to pay $80 for this shit? You've been giving me like the mainstream. A lot of the mainstream folks increasingly have just been putting out stuff that's not very
you feel like
good.
As a consumer, you're a rotisserie chicken. You're getting cooked on all sides, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right. I don't have $1 million. Like last week, I bought this game Skin Deep from Blendo Games. It's like a Die Hard on a spaceship. It's a comedy game. It's a fun game. It's got cats in it. It's great. We're going to do a dojo on it next week. I thought it was fucking great. I beat it because it turns out it was only about 8 hours long. And it's $20 and it's $18 right now on the launch sale that they're having on Steam. I don't mind paying $20 for an 8-hour video game. Now, if you ask me to
Skin Deep off Jeff's back.
If you ask me to spend $80 on a game that, I mean, like, I don't know. I spent $70 on Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it was an okay game. It just didn't click with me. It wasn't really for me. And now it's like, are you asking me?
You literally summed up Ubisoft's problem for the last 15 years.
Right.
I don't know. It was fine. It just didn't resonate with me.
Right. But then on the Microsoft side, you see that 2 weeks ago they put out Oblivion, $50. $50. They put that shit out on Game Pass, but they also put it on the PlayStation. It sold like gangbusters on the PlayStation. It sold like gangbusters on Steam, on a platform where you could sign up for Game Pass and play it without buying it on Steam. But people were like, no, man, $50. Oh, ouch, my childhood. I want to go back and play this game. Give it to me. Shut up and take my money. But like, there comes a limit where you're asking me for $80 for a Forza game, and I'm just like, no. I'm sorry,
Not
but
when-
like
not when there's so many options.
I've
right?
I've said for years, my take on this for years has been the same. You could charge whatever you want to for video games, but there is a certain level where customers won't pay it. You could charge me, you could say, here's the greatest cheeseburger in the history of mankind. It is $500 per burger. And like, you'll sell some, but not to me, because I'll take a fucking I'll take 100 mediocre Wendy's fucking double stacks before I give you $500 for one cheeseburger. And the game industry is not like, I read all this news week after week, Blake. Nobody's out there like, man, the game industry is in the best shape it's ever been. We're getting banger after banger. Every week there's a new thing, and I can't believe what I'm seeing. There's all this new innovation. There's all this new technology. There's all this new gameplay stuff. A lot of people are fucking tired of just the same old. And then something like Schedule 1 comes around where you fucking skateboard around with your Rick and Morty fucking selling horse jizz weed to people, and somehow it's amazing, and it only costs $20. Why, Microsoft? You're in third place. You should be dropping these prices to be like, I know that you're not going to get as much money for them, but you are at the bottom of the stack, man.
there's success, and I feel like with more success comes less popularity for some reason, because maybe it's just when we were kids, but you didn't have the options, the plentiful options that you do now when you were stuck to the consoles, because the PCs were still in their early element, but they were also kind of an exclusive, group of people doing that. But I just miss the big release and the feeling of like, it could be a huge release and the game could absolutely suck.
Yeah.
But there wasn't something to move on to the next week or 2 days. You kind of had to stick with that release for some time. So we won't go back to those days, but I feel it's a good and bad thing with these indie games is that you are getting so much better output from a dollar per dollar perspective, but it's just so overwhelming to have to choose between, pick any genre, pick any type of topic. There are at least 3 or 4 different types of things of that thing in the Steam world, or any other video game world. So I look, I don't know, I look longingly at the past, but then I look at the future going, I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen, right? In terms of where the next leap in the platform is going to be, or what the next world could be, right? Virtual, whatever.
We'll see. I will see. I mean, I don't know. Again, not to wander too far into just like straight up, not to make this just an economics podcast, right? But like GDP growth is down, like disposable income is down, like tourism is down. There comes a point in time where it's like you can try to sell me like, I can afford as a regular, I can afford to do this shit because patreon.com/RageSelect helps me to buy these games. But if I was just a regular schmo, fuck no.
You'd have to pick. You'd have to be picking very selective picking, and you wouldn't be introduced to all of those. You wouldn't do skin deep, right? Because you were probably, hey, I just spent money on the Assassin's Creed game because everybody was talking about that. Right?
Yeah.
So now I got to wait for the next month to get my it's always good to kind of have those things as a person, right? Just make sure, hey, I'm only buying stuff for myself on these specific time frames, but that's the world we're living in. You can't just move on from another game when it's $80 to $100. But hey, maybe the next part will be a little bit more positive, but this is the world we live in today.
True. Speaking of which, we are going to go ahead and take a break, recharge our positivity, and we're going to come back. We got a shitload of stories left to go. We're going to tear through them in part 2. Stick around, everybody. See you in just a minute. And we're back. Blake, there's more news. There's more news.
I love news.
There's
I love
more
news.
There's more news.
There's more. There's always more.
Yeah, when we left off last, we were just talking about Xbox stuff getting more expensive. Well, it's not the only thing. We've got a few more stories here directly related to our tariff situation. The first being that, did you know that there are still Atari 2600 games being manufactured?
Are they being manufactured by Atari, or are we saying by like independent people making Atari 2600?
By Atari, games, there was a mini VCS, Atari 400 mini, and like a 7800 plus mini, and they had the ability to play like digital stuff, but they could also play like actual Atari cartridges that they were manufacturing. yeah, those are all getting a price increase due to tariff stuff because they're all manufactured in China, much like a lot of stuff. This isn't huge. This is a 10% increase, and the cartridges are $30 a piece, so they're going from $30 to $33. However, I mean that total price increase, if you were to buy all of them, would basically be $60 more. So there's like 20 cartridges that you can buy. So it wouldn't mean, you're talking about like what? Not a huge price increase.
Basically about $5 more.
Yeah,
a cartridge. Yeah.
So yeah, that's happening, and I think that's a relatively niche market. I mean, it's still Atari, and it's not, again, it's not $80 a game; it's $33 instead of $30. So that's not a huge deal, but it's still happening.
These Atari games, $33 for them that's a large ask. There's a lot of those Atari games that I wouldn't even spend 3 cents on, let alone $33 on.
Sure,
and, most of them are actually like that. It is much more of a cash grab for nostalgia than it is for actually sitting in gameplay. Like, I've never known anyone to be like, Jeff, on Friday night, I'm gonna go play some Atari.
We're gonna play some Warlords. We're gonna play
some Warlords, and I get into that, and it's like 6 hours later, I see the sun come up, and I figured it's just like I don't see that. So
it's more, I don't know. It's more just it's more of a note than
it's
anything
another
else.
Anecdote.
Yes, yeah. It's just something to note down. The bigger thing is that apparently 8-Bit Do is no longer shipping any of their stuff to the United States due to the tariffs, because it is all made in China. 8-Bit Do, for anybody who does, or 8-Bit Do, or I don't know how you say it, they make a lot of really good like controllers and handhelds and just kind of a large variety of kind of interesting little peripherals that you can get. I actually just recently bought a like an Xbox controller charger from them. So right now they have basically the stock that they have in U.S. warehouses, but that once that stuff is gone, some of the items that they are selling are no longer available because they sold out what they had and they're not shipping anymore. This is all basically due to the 140% tariff on China that we currently have, as well as for anybody who doesn't know, there used to be an exemption for shipping if you were shipping over a certain amount or under a certain amount. I forget what the specifics of it were, but there was something about the shipping where if you were shipping under a certain amount, then like you didn't have to pay for that stuff. It's how Temu worked so cheaply, because if you were shipping X amount, then you didn't have to pay for international shipping. That's been done away with. So
isn't it funny to me that like Temu got priced out?
Right.
Sorry, your shit was so cheap that it just
Yeah. The de minimis exemptions is what it's called. So yeah, which sucks because 8-Bit Do, I mean, like I really like their stuff.
It's another avenue for people that don't want to spend that prime dollar on first party controllers. If you want to like what was it, shark waves back in the day or something, like basically like there was always that, hey, I don't have the money to spend another $70 on a PlayStation 2 controller.
Yep.
I'll go to Walmart and get the $25 Shockwave or whatever controller that's just like that third party different, not as probably robust. You always gave it to your friend if you were playing a multiplayer game, because then you got the good controller and he got the shit one. But I'm not saying that these 8-Bit Do's or any controllers, I've never used them, and I'm assuming that they actually probably do hit a very specific niche that is needed, and it looks like they have a lot of variety of different types of controllers too that are not going to be first party available, like fight sticks and stuff like that, as always, either. So it sucks. It's just part of the world's working right now. I don't understand it or get it, but that's kind of what we're in. So
their controllers are actually really good. Like they make superior stuff to what's coming out. Like they have kind of an Xbox branded controller, the Ultimate Mode 3 controller, that is it's wireless. It has like LEDs on it. It has like programmable like back buttons, and it has the Hall effect sticks on it. So instead of like the mechanical sticks, these are ones that are less prone to drift. They also sell a bunch of like they sell these. I think I bought one of the ones that I bought from them was like an SNES Bluetooth controller that could just be synced up to like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. But I don't know. They make good peripherals. In a variety of kind of fun colors. They tend to be pretty decent. A lot of people apparently use these like real little, they have these like microcontrollers that if you like, people use them for studying because if you turn them and you hold them vertically and then you remap them, they make as great, like kind of like go to the next page and input and type of things. Which I didn't know about until I was reading the article about it, and they're like $20, so they're not a big thing. But yeah, they're it's a good company. Sad to see that they're getting they're pulling out just because we gotta.
You gotta stay in business. This isn't a decision to be like, hey, we are choosing not to. It's like they won't make money. They will lose money if they do that. If they do business in the States, so
right.
It's much more understandable to be like tariffs are very specific. They get passed on to the customer because the company's not going to be like, don't worry, we're going to eat the profit.
Yep.
We will. Every controller that we sell, we're losing $10. Isn't that great? No, you're going to go under. You can't pay people like that. So don't be stupid.
And then the idea being, of course, the idea, just to reiterate, of the whole tariff scene is that it's supposed to bring it's supposed to be manufacturing back to domestic in the United States, but it would take 4 or 5 years to set up a controller, the molding and the printing and the assembly and stuff like that. And by that time, who knows whether the tariffs will even still be there. They may or they may not. You may just suspend your shit. You sell your products to the rest of the world, and the United States has a.
I really hope 8-bit dough will still be here. That's another thing to consider, right?
Yeah.
They'll wait to come back when the tariffs are gone. Well, if they're fucked because they're huge chunk of change in it's awful. This sucks.
In other news, let's go back to the old Switch 2 because we've got a bunch of stories about the Nintendo Switch. The first being that apparently in Japan, so I don't know how this worked, but apparently it's Japan was expecting there to be around 800,000 to 1 million units ready for launch, and the demand in Japan for Switch 2s is 5 million. So they spent all this time kind of trying to make sure that everybody didn't get slammed by this stuff, and now everybody's getting slammed by pre-orders. The interesting thing, though, there's a report last week where in Japan, apparently stores are getting kind of their next round of pre-orders, and a lot of stores are limiting that to people that are on their rewards. Apparently a lot of just stores in Japan have a reward system, and that you have to be a member of the rewards program and have spent a certain amount of cash at the store over the last year in order to be able to basically get in on the next round of pre-orders, as a way to basically offer those pre-orders to only their most loyal customers, which isn't I don't know. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I would hate
very archaic, though. You know what I mean? It's very much hey, if you're a rewards member, you can sign up first. That's pretty much all it is.
Yeah. I would hate if that was the case in the United States, just because it's I don't buy stuff from Best Buy every single fucking week. I don't buy stuff from Target every single week. So the idea of having to have shoved enough money into somebody's cash register in order to be able to make a large purchase is not my favorite thing. But
I'm being so naive right now, but I'm really? Nintendo's we worked really hard to make about 1 million units available, and now there's a 5 million unit ask. I'm no, you fucking knew that. Of course there's gonna. You do not want to make so many. I'm saying we's. Of course, this is how far I'm going back.
Yeah.
You want to make all these Switch 2s and not sell them all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't believe in the whole we're not trying to make this a. You want the publicity if everybody wants this. Of course you do.
I think that Nintendo, out of all of the different companies, I think that a lot of the companies, I don't think they want there to be people who have money, who want the thing, who can't get it, because it doesn't do anything for them, right? They want everybody who wants one of these to be able to give them $500 a pop, because it's if you let that customer who's caught up in the hype go, who knows? They might think better of it. They might think well, I couldn't get in on the first 2 rounds, and over that time I bought Schedule 1, and you want people who have the money and who have the. I think it's just a physical limitation. You just cannot manufacture enough of these things for global demand, right? Like everybody wants one, apparently, even though everybody complained about it. And you can't, like, I think that they would have been more than happy to over manufacture, but there's really just only so much you can manufacture. Every one of those motherfuckers has to be put together and put in a box, and it's just a physical limitation. I mean, who knows even when the hardware on this stuff was completely done? Was it a year ago? Was it 2 years ago? Was it 6 months ago? Were they still doing this stuff? So I don't know. Hard to.
Did you get yours? Did you pre-order yours already?
I did. It was a whole debacle. I talked about last week. Best Buy finally hooked me up, and I got the pre-order for the $500 one with the Mario Kart world or whatever. So, but honestly, I mean, like I was talking with there was a point where Target had one in my cart, and then they canceled it, and then they prevented me from adding another one to my cart, and then I got an email saying that I had done an order. And I had one in I was in a queue at Walmart's website.
Jeff's gonna have like 6 Switch 2s in about 4 months.
Well, the thing is, I had the opportunity to buy a second one, and I was like, well, I don't know if anybody wants one. And then I've talked to a whole bunch of my friends, and they're just like, yeah, I mean, if you would have bought one, I would have given you retail price for that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to have to be sitting there refreshing the website, but if you had one and I could buy it from you for $540, I would have given you $540 for one. So
I've always, ever since my lesson with Grand Theft Auto Vice City way back in the day, I never pre-order anything. You don't have to pre-order things. If you want something, you can figure out how to get it. I promise you that there are so many different ways. If you're listening out there and you're like me when I was whatever age, there are so many different ways to get those fucking systems.
Yeah.
I remember I didn't pre-order a PS5, and during the pandemic when everybody was at home, I literally just got into a queue and just heard the bell ring and just hit add to cart and bought it. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, you don't have to go through that. I think their Switch 2s will be gettable. But it's always going to be that game of, are you on the website at the right time?
The biggest question with the Switch 2 tends to be whether the tariffs go back into effect, whether they go up, whether they're on stuff from Vietnam, because right now Nintendo, like last week we had a story where Nintendo is shoveling as many units into U.S. warehouses right now as they can, because like they shifted their manufacturing operations a lot. They shifted 50% of their manufacturing from China to Vietnam because they realized that China and America might be in a tariff war. Well, then when Freedom Day happened, Vietnam got like a fucking 60% tariff or something like on it. It's just like, well, what the fucking even fuck? But then when they suspended that for what was it, like 90 days, they were just like, okay, divert all shipments in right now. And so the question is, like, if all of those sell out and then the only way to get more of them is on a boat from Vietnam, and everything from Vietnam is a 60% tariff on it, then maybe it will, like, maybe it'll cost $600 because you'd be like, well, shit. So I don't know. It's hard to know. Like, I'm torn between don't do anything and do everything you can right now, so that like if the entire financial marketplace crashes down around your ears, you're like, okay, I have a PS5, I have a Switch 2, I have a nice video card, I've got what I need. Like, I don't have to buy another console.
Let's hope that power is still available, but I have everything else. We're fine. And hopefully network, because DRM, but that's fine.
I have a battery with a solar charger after the snowstorm in Texas, so there's that too.
It's legitimately that fucking Twilight Zone episode where the guy tries to like read everything and the whole world dies but him and his books, and he's so happy, but then he breaks his glasses. And he's like, it's
there
like
was
having
time.
all the video games, but no power.
Yep.
There's no power.
Yep. Let's see. Another Switch news. There was a big update last week. This is all getting ready for the Switch 2 launch. And there's been a little bit of some fallout from that, because one of the things that they did was they added in the Switch 2 virtual game card system. So up until this point, the Nintendo Switch had a thing where it would check online to see, like, you could have one account logged in on two systems, so one of them was designated as primary. So here's the thing. In those days, you could have two Switches that were both logged into the same account. They both had the same game, and then they could go online, and you would be able to play it online. Now, the games have been updated to basically be a virtual cart that you must insert. And so if you have the same account on two systems, you have to virtually insert your digital cart in one system, and then it will be unavailable to the second system. Like it's like they've made carts. They made the digital purchases into virtual carts. So yeah, this update happened because of the Nintendo Switch 2. I postulated when this was originally announced is because Nintendo does not want people to buy Nintendo Switch 2 and then still be able to play all the games they have on their Nintendo Switch 1 and on their Switch 2 at the same time, right? If you bought Animal Crossing on the Switch 1 and then you buy Nintendo Switch 2 and you log into it with your console, they don't want you to be able to hand your Switch 1 over to your buddy or your kid or whoever and still be able to use all the games that are on your account. So the solution to this is this new virtual cart system where if you want to move a game from your Switch, if you want to use a game that was purchased on your Switch 1 and your Switch 2, you have to essentially virtually move that game to the system and virtually insert that card and run it there.
Now, at any point when you're making a 15-minute explanation for something that should just be, who gives a fuck? Just let the fuck... Like, what is the point of this? This point of this is to control the customer and put them in a cage because they're stupid and lioness and they need to... Like, I do not understand when you're buying a new system, everything is tied to the account.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
So what is the problem with just allowing a Nintendo Switch to exist and having a Nintendo Switch 2 exist?
You don't want the customer playing the same digital game on the same account on both systems simultaneously because you're greedy. And if they want to play Animal Crossing with those two systems, then you want them to have to buy 2 copies of Animal Crossing, like not
Fair.
one.
I totally get that. Now I'm gonna split hairs.
Yeah.
What other system has this problem?
Other systems, generally speaking, they don't.
Right, because they do not allow for multi-sign-in, right? At the same time.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, well, like the PlayStation 5, it's like you can log in. So on the PlayStation Network, it's like one unit has to be designated as the primary unit, and only that unit can play offline. So let's say I have 2 PS5s. One of them has to be considered the primary unit. That one, you can go offline. You can log out and still play the games. The other one must be connected at all times, and if it goes offline, you'll get quit out of the game. So anyway, this whole thing is very complicated, but here's the thing. Up until now, the end result of this is up until now, if you had 2 Nintendo Switches in your house, and they're both logged into the same account, you could play the same game on both systems with one purchase online. Now that they have done this update, it's unclear whether that's the same case because there is an option to turn off this virtual cart thing and kind of go back to the old mode. But some users have said that even doing that, it doesn't work anymore. That basically Nintendo's
I feel like they've created this hole by allowing the stipulations of having these 2 accounts.
Yes.
And now they've created this to basically get rid of easier limitation that they created. I'm like, dude, this is so stupid. Don't do this. This seems dumb and completely confusing.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that Nintendo's been doing recently that seem like they're getting more focused on like, no, you need to pay. You need to pay for it. You need to fucking pay for it. You're not allowed to buy 1 copy of Mario Odyssey and play it on 2 systems. No. If you want 2 copies, 2 systems playing Mario Odyssey.
Back in the day with the physical game, maybe that's going away, but you can play Mario Odyssey in multiple consoles with a different game.
Well,
right?
but not simultaneously, right? Like if you bought it, that's the rub here, right? Is that if you bought it digitally, you could play it on 2 different systems at the same time simultaneously. Because the new system totally works because you can lend those virtual cards out. It's just it means that like if I bought Mario and I had the virtual card for it, I could loan it to you if you were my like family plan or whatever. But then I can't play it unless you give me back, quotey fingers, the virtual card to put it back in. They're basically making it so that digital purchases act like physical purchases. You can play them in one place and you can hand them to somebody else and they can totally play them on their system. But if you give it to somebody else, you can't play it on your system. And a lot of people...
But what if you go to virtual mom and dad, though, and they say that you're not allowed to virtually send the virtual card that you've rented at Virtual Blockbuster over to your virtual friend. And Virtual Mom and Dad's like, hey, you can just ask Virtual Dad. And then you ask Virtual Dad, and Virtual Dad's, you see how this is completely stupid? Let's live in the real world and just say you own a game, you plug it in, it works. Fuck it. I don't care what people, I'm going to die on this hill.
Yep. I mean, I think that a lot of this is about the way I said this, and I'll just reiterate it real quick because we have to get moving through the rest of this stuff.
I know.
But,
I'm being very contrived,
is that Nintendo looks at the situation and says, everybody has a Nintendo Switch 1, right? We want everybody to buy a Nintendo Switch 2. If you buy a Switch 2 and you're going to log into your Nintendo account, you're going to have all the games that were on your Switch 1. We don't want you to be able to have now 2 fully functional Switches with full game libraries. We want you to have to pick where you play the game. You can play it on here, you can play it on here, and we're going to actually, to their credit, what I will say is that this virtual cart system is a little involved, but it's a simpler solution than what the fucking PS5 designate my primary offline blah 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 blah. It's like, no, here's the game. If you want to give it to somebody else, you can, but if you give it to somebody else, you can't play it here, because suddenly they're going to have a whole bunch of customers that have these 2 compatible systems in their house, and they don't want everybody to just double the amount of games they're playing without buying more games, which is like, on the one hand, I get the business idea of that. On the other hand, I mean, come the fuck on, man. Just let kids play Animal Crossing. Like, is it really that important to be like, no,
It feels very much like the region lock type shit, you know, and DVDs and Blu-rays. But anyway,
I'm going to tell you about the Japanese-only Switch 2. One of the other updates from this is that the eShop is no longer the little orange bars. It is now red. It's little red bars. They changed the shop icon and everything. Some people were really attached to that color and the icon and stuff. Whatever.
I'm sure Clippy is mourned by thousands of people when they removed him from the Office suite in 1995.
They also have a thing. One of the other things, though, one of the good updates that they had, though, was that it used to be that when you looked at the like kind of recent items, like there was like a kind of what's popular right now. A lot of that stuff was AI shit slop, because it was based on like what sold the best over the last week. So somebody would put out some clickbait garbage AI generated thing that was $5. A whole bunch of people would buy it. They would get ripped off, and then it would be in that section, or they would price it.
Promoting people, ripping people off, essentially. Is
right.
What it was doing.
They would price stuff really low. They'd price it at like, hey, $2 for this thing. And then if you buy the ripoff of repo for $2 on Switch, it gets shoved into that thing. Well, now it turns out that the bestseller section is going to be based on like how much money, not how many sales, but how much money has been made over time. So to get up there, it's like those games that have had the highest actual
flash in the pans will be removed in that scenario.
Yes, and that you'll be looking at stuff that actually has like a good sales track record, as opposed to stuff that just managed to sell a good number
in that
copies.
room with the fucking executives, the guy says that, why the fuck didn't we do that before? I don't know.
right. I mean, there's a lot of games out there. There's a lot of AI slot problems now on the different stores, because you can generate a thumbnail that looks like it's supposed to be something, and because it's all automated, nobody's checking this shit. So yeah.
Well, when you do a thumbnail for this YouTube video, just make sure you do a very weird reaction to something in the background going, ooh, and then it will be pushed up
with 18 fingers on one hand. Ooh. We also got like a confirmation of all the Switch 2 launch games. This is a pretty decent lineup. I didn't realize the Bravely Default HD remaster was going to be on there day one, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. You got the Mario Kart stuff. You got the Street Fighter 6, Split Fiction, and the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch Edition. There's a Hitman coming. They actually have, this one's funny because it has outfits that are like a red outfit with a mustache and a green outfit with a mustache, which is pretty fun. Cyberpunk, Deltarune, chapters 1 through 4, Fortnite. Good lineup.
Awesome. I would say the only thing is, typically when these things happen, is there like a lull in terms of, for the next foreseeable few months, there's like Mario Kart World and some stuff that's already been out. You know, I'm seeing a lot of like, you know, Hogwarts Legacy, Fortnite, Civ 7, Cyberpunk 20, and these are all great games, so I'm not trying to say that there's nothing to play on it, but when I used to get these new consoles, you'd have a very, PS5 was one of those that I remember is like, it came out and it's like, okay, where's the fucking firepower, you know what I mean, with these games coming out? So I'd be curious, like, over the next few months after these pre-orders and it comes out, it's like, okay, what's laying that foundation for that next month, right?
There's other stuff on the horizon for this year that I think is going to work. They got the Donkey Kong Bonanza on July 17th. That FromSoft Dusk Bloods, well, that's next year, but like, there's some stuff that's out there. The Kirby Air Ride, the Hyrule Warriors, that's supposed to be coming out. Drag X Drive.
I don't know about that. That was a little. I don't know about that. That was basically just like, oh, let's do our own version of fucking. Was that Blitzball game, Rocket League?
Oh yeah, Rocket League. Mm-hmm.
But like the handicap element and the it's not like, look, that's a great avenue, but it also seems to be like very misplaced in the competitive E-League thing. I don't know. I feel very like I don't know how that will be reacted to. Maybe it'll just do well, which I hope, but I don't know. It was very odd to me. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. EA laid off about 300 people last week, including 100 that were working on a brand new Titanfall game. So everybody pour one out because Titanfall is still.
It was within the universe. It wasn't Titanfall 3, was it, or something?
No, it was not Titanfall 3. It was the thing is, it was a Titanfall game and it was an extraction shooter. I don't understand why everybody is all up in the business of extraction shooters these days. Like, it doesn't make very much sense to me, but apparently they were working on an extraction shooter that was set in the Titanfall universe. Okay, I don't understand why they're so goddamn allergic to just making Titanfall 3, because everybody loves Titanfall 2 and everybody likes that universe. But apparently, yeah, this is worth pointing out though, because that means that 300 means that EA has now let go more than 1,800 employees since March of 2023. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe find a different CEO who doesn't make decisions that requires you to lay off 100-person teams. Maybe move those teams to something else. Maybe quit fucking around with your FC games and your bullshit games and make more Star Wars games. How is it fucking Star Wars?
Maybe you look at your customers instead of as cash cows, but as actual, I don't know, people, or like maybe just, I don't know, give the people what they want, but like just treating customers like just fucking dollar signs is gonna cause this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know.
But EA, they're doing really well. So why are they getting rid of these people? Come on now, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of it is the fact that I don't think that they know what to do. That they want these. They're still running on this huge investment, huge return. Huge investment, huge return model where that's like, oh, we're going to spend 5 years and $1 gajillion to make stuff. Last week, there was let's see, what do they got on deck right now? NFL's college sports, F1 2025, Command and Conquer Legions. That's a fucking phone game. Split Fiction was good, but like if you, I don't know if you know this, there was a game that came out like 2 weeks ago that was called Tempest Rising, that's been in development for a while, that apparently is doing pretty darn good. It's just Command and Conquer. It's just 3D Realms and Slipgate Ironworks made a Command and Conquer game. It's got heavy metal. It's got like, two campaigns. It's basically just an old school ass Command and Conquer game. EA has the license. They could be doing this, but nope. That's just nope. It doesn't. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
But where's the microtransaction capabilities, though? Where are they?
It's a good question. I have no idea. Speaking of game companies that are having some trouble, we got the release for Infinity Nikki version 1.5. Infinity Nikki
is... Oh, yes. Not to be confused.
A free-to-play game about a little anime girl who dresses up in different outfits. It's some kind of... I don't fucking know. wandering around having adventures in the fucking cosmos, and the different outfits give you different powers that you can use for little platforming challenges, and there's some action to it. And this update has basically a new multiplayer edition, as well as a bunch of new seasonal outfits. And they're getting a lot of pushback for this, mostly because it seems like a little bit of a cash grab. So up until very recently, each season had an outfit. Those outfits were like 9 pieces at most. Each piece was an epic pull, because this is a gacha game. The pulls had a 20% success rate, so it would take 20%, 20 or 5 pulls or whatever to do this. The new outfits have 11 pieces, some of them of which are not even like there's one that has a ballroom dress that goes all the way to the floor. I know, just bear with me on this. And then it's got like pants underneath it that you can't see when the character has them on, but it's still part of the outfit that you need to get in order to get the powers for it. Anyway, it's just a big ass gacha game, and the people online are like, no, this is too much. You went from eight pieces to 11 pieces. There's too many dress pieces for me to get in this weird anime girl game. No, I don't want to. I'm
just writing some things down, some notes. Let's take it back real quick. When you said that people are outraged by this,
yes,
it's just you, isn't it? You know so much about this, and I just want everyone to know who are listening at home, because this is not a recording, but I can see Jeff. He's not looking at a script. This was all. He's not looking at a screen. This is all in his head. The audience of Infinity Nikki is Jeff. Jeff.
No,
actually, I looked at this. I was like, this is a pretty cute, artsy, anime type thing. Where if you're me, and I'm talking to myself, if I'm in a funk and I just want to go to a different world, I can see how this is a little inviting. Yeah. But when you said there are many people, I was like, this is just Jeff.
It's really not. I just have to read all this bullshit. So apparently their community got online and started organizing a boycott, to the point where the company itself actually put out an apology letter. And
nice job, Jeff. Hell yeah, dude. You got them to fucking not just play.
Well, and here's the thing: is I don't even know you could put this many words in a post on Twitter. It's just
Jesus Christ,
this huge thing.
Can you imagine if Overwatch responded with this type of stuff, apologies? Jesus.
Well, what it tells me is that Infinity Nikki does not have a huge fan base, and they are not looking to lose anybody. So
Jesus,
they're apparently saying
you hurt them. You really hurt them. They're just this was supposed to be a fun game.
They're giving out free currency in the inside of the game. They said they're never going to go over 11 pieces for any future outfits. They are saying that they need to make their messaging better, so that people don't get blindsided by this stuff when it comes out. It also doesn't help that this launch also was fucked up, and it wouldn't launch. It would error out at the launcher screen. The multiplayer stuff was all gorked up. It was all just not good. And then on top of that, it was hey, here's a terrible update. Also, please give us more money than you already are. And I'm like,
it's almost like they've cosplayed their jobs. And I'm saying that lovingly, but if you look at the very end, it's even in the state of these people could be fired and their families affected because of that, right? But the very end of, I don't know if you could scroll down to the last sentence of their letter, which is just so, please give us one more chance to let Nikki's starlight continue to shine for us all, and to keep warmth in our hearts forever burning. There's a fucking trade war happening right now, and the economy's going to shit.
Yeah.
But damn, these people are fucking committed to their Infinity Nikki, and I am so proud of them for that. You cannot take that away from them.
I really wanted to hold this up as the idea that if you actually can organize, if the Switch, if they put out an $80 game on the Xbox and nobody fucking buys it, if you can actually keep yourself from going to Best Buy's website and hitting refresh it over and over again at midnight to try to get the thing, they will have to pay attention at some point. It's not,
I am shitting on this as a joke.
Yeah.
It is really, it's a good sign if there's a lot of passionate people playing something made by other passionate people.
Yep.
They will respond when that passionate people gets pissed. As much as I should on Helldivers 2, just because of the the knack of the beginning of that game and how it came about.
Yep.
They care about that fan base. They do, because they do things specifically targeted for the fan base, and that's not the EA doesn't do that shit, you know.
Nope.
Ubisoft doesn't do that shit. So.
Absolutely. Yep. Speaking of Ubisoft, we got the post-launch roadmap for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't know. I mean, like there's a new story mission that's being added, some quality of life updates. In May, we've got a special collaboration, which is Ubisoft injecting bullshit, I don't know, from Balatro or something in here. Parkour update, photo mode update. June, you get a second story mission, some new difficulty, and in the future, they're going to be adding New Game Plus with some more story missions, more stuff. I don't know. The whole thing is fucking exhausting to me. I don't want any of this. Like, I wanted to play a video game. Every time there's a roadmap for my enjoyment, I'm just like, for the love of I mean, I didn't even like it when Hitman was doing it, where I'm just like, God, Jesus. Like, I don't want to have to look at a grid with months on it. Fuck.
Assassin's Creed games to me are like fucking lasagnas. They're so much better after you let them bake and put them in the fucking fridge and then go back to them later on and then fucking eat them. After everybody's done with it, right?
Yeah.
After everybody's said all the shit, then you can go in and actually be like, oh, this was a fun game. It's like Valhalla was fun. I think that those games age better over time.
Yeah.
Because you can dive into it. But yeah, like, you have so much shit right now. It's like, it's impossible. Assassin's Creed Shadows didn't stick out more than Ghost of Tsushima, which is a better game by all intents and purposes, right? So
I liked it more, but that's just me. Let's see, another Ubisoft news. Ubisoft has updated a couple of their old games. They added Steam achievements to Splinter Cell Blacklist, which is the first time they've done anything Splinter Cell related in years. Even though that's not a super great as Splinter Cell game, but it's still okay. I wish I knew more about the remake of the first one that they've been working on for a few years.
Nothing will hit like that. That's such a very fucking fun. That game was so much fun.
Yep. They also updated Far Cry 4 on the PS5 and the Series X so that it runs at 60 frames per second, which is great.
Nice.
Because Far Cry 4 is the best Far Cry. I will accept no discussion on this matter. Pagan Min is the best one. He's better than Voss because Voss gets killed, and he's better than that dude in 5, and he's better than Giancarlo Esposito by a long shot.
Is it wrong for me to say I like the first one, and that's it? Like, as in, like, I in terms of all of the games that have come out, I like the first one, and the 3, 4, 5, they're good,
yeah,
and they're completely like different. But I love the idea of a primal element of the first one where you turn into this like fucking monster, and I don't know, probably just hit nostalgia wise. But yes, Far Cry 4 of the most recent ones is the best.
Fucking Congo
margin,
mutant apes or whatever in the first one.
Yeah,
you're just a guy in a Hawaiian shirt, like it's so
like a Predator fucking game. Hell yeah.
Let's see, and then finally in Ubisoft news, we got that so this was a post on Twitter. They just recently put Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown on PlayStation, and apparently it got a huge influx of people, which is great because that game fucking rules. It's so good, and not enough people played it, myself included, until the end of last year. And they posted saying, well over 2 million players by now. You've revived the legend. The prince is back, and believe us, he's just warming up, which would mean more if this team hadn't been kind of fucked at this point. But I hope that means there'll be more Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Like, they said that it was the team wasn't fucked. They just reported that the sales were disappointing to them because it didn't sell fucking Call of Duty numbers, and so they were like, meh. But
you're trying to get these stories, but where do you want to see the Prince of Persia franchise go from here?
I want,
as somebody that's like, I've seen a lot of different elements of it, and I love the side scrolling side, but is it going to get back into the 3D world, do you think? Is it going to?
There's a remake of the Sands of Time that was supposed to be out a little while back, and then the studio got dissolved. It was like years and years, and apparently they'd done very little. That's still on deck. I like this version because this is a Metroidvania, and it was a really good Metroidvania because it was made by the Rayman team, so it had a lot of like platforming challenges, and it had a really fun time mechanic.
I didn't realize Raymans were actually fun games until... Because I was like, oh, they're stupid kid games, right? Like, I can only dive into Mario, right?
Yeah,
those games are actually a lot of fun, right? Yeah. So that I should be getting back into Prince of Persia, and you should too out there.
This one's good, and then they have another side scroller that was made by one of the teams that worked for Dead Cells that is a lot like Dead Cells. So, Let's see. Speaking of sequels, Capcom put out a little thank you for. It was like the birthday of Resident Evil, and it hit 9 million in sales. Let's see what I say. They put out a new video celebrating the game reaching 10 million milestone. But I'll spare you. This is kind of the scene from RE4 where all the zombies are going to the church away from Leon, except in this one they're all wearing like party hats and stuff. And at the very end, it's like the chainsaw guy is kind of playing electric guitar. The camera zooms back and it comes over to this sign, and the sign is talking about 10 million sold in a bunch of different languages. And it's like these two pieces that are kind of crossed at the top in like an X, and then there's one piece below it that's in a straight line, and it says "Thank you for playing" on all three of these different things. And so it's
clever.
Yeah,
very clever.
The X and the one being a 9, maybe be the tease of a new Resident Evil, because it's about time. I mean, we had 4 remake. Was it 2 years ago?
In this Capcom team, this dev team, put that in there, and if you did, you need to be working on more things, because that is so subtly fucking cool.
Yeah.
I would take more of that in my veins. Hell yeah, that was cool.
Absolutely. All right, we got a few more. We got very little time. Evil Dead is gone from store shelves. The Evil Dead game that came out in 2022. This is probably a licensing issue, which really is stupid and sucky. If you've already purchased the game is, you're still available. They said they're not shutting down the servers. You can still totally play the single player and the multiplayer, no problem. But the game itself has now been yanked from most store shelves. And that usually only happens if there's a rights issue. Like, there's nothing, if they're keeping the servers up, it means that they're not looking to shut the game down. So it's probably just a fact that whatever license they got is out.
Expired.
That fucking sucks. And I hate it when that shit happens. I hate it.
That's why a lot of those companies don't want to get into that specific IP world.
Yep.
It just is hard.
And then let's see. I don't know how to do these. Okay, let's do this one. This one's fun. So Oblivion came out a little while back. Apparently, so I didn't know this because I'm not a drug addict in Skyrim, but skooma in Oblivion.
You haven't made that in Schedule 1 yet?
No. Skooma in Oblivion, you could stack up to 8 of them, and it basically makes you faster, and it like raises your athletics to a huge stupid amount. This is used for speed running, where you literally are able to run so fast that you can just like run on the air, and when you hit the water, you just like it just speeds you up into a ridiculous way. And you can just run across the entire map in seconds, and it's pretty fun. Well, apparently, due to the Unreal Engine 5, you can now stack up to 22 skoomas in the new one, which makes it even more ridiculous, where you can basically just fucking like crazy flash run across the entire map. Which makes me very interested in a certain cat
play it down.
that sometimes shows up in some RageSelect videos. Trying it. I've never used it before. I don't ever use the drugs in the Bethesda games, but the idea of stacking this just Titanic level of the speed is just kind of ridiculous. So
you have a good game when you can literally have all the fun in the world by just doing something as simple as fucking with the mechanics.
Yeah.
That's when you got a good solid foundation of a game. I love it.
Let's see, in other RPG news, we found out that Warcraft is thinking about adding a feature to the game where, so there's currently mods for World of Warcraft.
Auto deodorant? Sorry,
there's currently mods for World of Warcraft where the game is so complicated that when you press a button, like you proc a spell, it'll highlight what the next thing that you're supposed to do is. And so it's like there are mods that are the raids have become so complicated that they'll overlay like where you need to stand, and they'll have timers and stuff like this on it. And that Blizzard has just leaned into this because everybody uses mods in this game. They've made the raids even more complicated because they're expecting people to use this. Well, they had an interview where they were talking about how they don't want people to have to download mods, so they're actually thinking about adding that like next spell functionality into the game. And they're actually thinking about adding a thing where there's just one button that you press that literally will just go to the next thing that you are supposed to be using during this raid. and press it for you. So instead of pressing 1 and then pressing 4 and then pressing 3 and then going to 2, like it's just you're just pressing one button and it just goes to the next thing you're supposed to do with a slightly elongated cooldown. So if you do it manually, you're able to do it a little bit better. But if you don't want to, you could just let the game play itself. And I'm just like, why would anybody want to play this? It sounds like hell. It sounds like a nightmare.
Does it make it easier to roach? Because I've figured out what that term means. Because literally, just like it's crazy to me how many people can get into World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
and, I understand like Schedule 1, the time suck, but it is the most complicated of complex like sequences and togetherness and social engineering, and it's insanity. So yeah, anything to make it easier is a win for Blizzard. That is for sure.
Agreed. And with that, I think we're going to go ahead and call it for the second part. We still got some trailers left to go, but everybody stick around, and we'll be right back in just a second. For part 3, and that means it's time for trailers. But before we jump in, just really briefly, we had one news story that didn't make it out of the last one. So Blizzard has been looking around for they've been kind of shopping a contract to make a StarCraft game out to developers in China or actually developers in Asia in general. And it looks like Nexon, who made Marvel Rivals, is now won the bid to basically create whatever that next StarCraft game is. Strangely enough, it's not even locked to be an RTS. It could just be whatever. So,
are we gonna get the StarCraft Ghost? Are we gonna actually get that? And that company, by the way, has killed it with Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
To the point that it's put Overwatch back on its toes of trying to do more things to keep people interested.
Right.
Which, it's got the momentum. Let's see what it does, man. StarCraft is something that has fallen off the wayside. I feel like that's ever since World of Warcraft came out, I feel like StarCraft has always taken a back seat from that point. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories about that in Jason Schreier's last book, Play Nice. It was all about Blizzard and kind of their rise and what they're doing. But yeah, also should be noted, Nexon is a South Korean developer, and StarCraft is huge in Korea. So this is a big opportunity for them. I hope if Blizzard's just going to fucking, reduce World of Warcraft to a one-button game and fuck everything else up that they do, that maybe Nexon can make something that I'll actually want to play in that franchise, because I do like StarCraft. But speaking of the old Blizzard, we did get the latest Overwatch. I don't know.
There's one thing that is constant.
Yes.
That will never die. It is Gundam, motherfucker.
This is a little weird to me. Overwatch 2 is having a crossover with Gundam Wing because it's Gundam Wing's 30th anniversary. So Mercy's getting an Endless Waltz skin, and there's like a Talgi skin, and there's like a Death Scythe skin for Reaper. I'm not a big fan of this idea of Gundams that are the size of regular people, of dressing people up in Gundam costumes. But then I'm also not a big Wing Gundam guy. I was like, why in the world would you be doing this and not G-Quax, man? G-Quax is on the air right now. Like, there's new episodes of that shit out every week. Why are you going back to old Gundam Wing? But I don't know. Just because
it's just people want. It's probably more people will watch the old Gundam Wing and probably buy Tall Geese for Soldier 76 versus trying to do the new stuff. But I understand what they're trying to do. It's very much a cash grab, but it's very much a Fortnite mentality of, if you have an IP, it can be incorporated, bring it in. Why not?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's out there. I don't know. You could do it. Sorry, Overwatch. No skin. No amount of skins is going to make me want to play you.
Don't you want to be the Tall Geese, motherfucker?
I didn't even watch Wing. You could be better. I was more apt to buy the RX-78 they put in fucking Call of Duty than I am some Gundam Wing stuff. I'm not a Gundam Wing guy.
You didn't watch Gundam Wing?
No, I'm an adult.
What the hell is wrong with you? You didn't watch Gundam Wing? I'm the best fucking Gundam.
I'm UC for life, bitch. Like, you're gonna give me them new types. Give me that Char and Amuro Ray. I don't care about these pretty boys and their pretty boy Gundams. Give me that hardcore military bullshit.
What a very contrived argument there.
I know. I tried watching it once. I was like, no, this isn't for me. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
I envision a Jeff that is pounding beers and watching Gundam Wing night by night, just fucking riding the fucking Tall Geese through this story. I can see that happening.
as soon as we're done here, next episode of G-Quacks and a beer. That's the first thing I'm doing as soon as we get done.
Yeah.
So
Blake supports that. Hell
yep.
yeah.
Let's see. We also got this was just kind of a little promo for some of the stuff that Marvel Rivals is doing with their Hellfire Gala event, showing that there's like some new stuff that you can get, new kind of like challenges, new like little backgrounds for the cards. There's like company gifts that you can get. It seems like they're really, some new emotes and stuff like that. There's also some little votes of different who's the best dressed and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. It looks like they're leaning all into this, and so far, it seems like it's been a good time for them. There's also apparently, if you just log in, what is it? Is it May 2nd or something like that? You get the Wolverine patch skin with him and the
which looks very similar to the Yakuza character,
mm-hmm.
or like a mix between the two main characters. One's got the eye patch, the nice like white coat.
Oh, it's
from the Yakuza games.
It's already done. Sorry, that was May 2nd. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
yeah,
you're talking about Goro Majima.
Yeah, Goro Majima looks very similar to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me when I can get Goro Majima skin in Marvel Rivals, even though that's stupid, but whatever.
Why not? At this point, what does it matter? Rules are out the window.
I hate it. I hate all this multiverse nonsense. I hate it when they shove people in games they shouldn't be in. It just
can't wait till Sonic shows up in Rivals and you just lose your fucking mind.
Wouldn't make any difference to me. I don't play that game. So we also got the big Star Wars crossover with Fortnite is happening. We got a cinematic trailer that shows, fucking Star Destroyers and X-Wings or TIE Fighters and shit coming into Fortnite. This kind of goes a little bit along with last week. There was a little promo for it where there's one thing in here that I think is absolutely fascinating, and it's the idea that like Fortnite is not above just doing fanfic bullshit from the internet, and that is evident in that one of the things we get like a kind of a samurai Darth Vader skin, but one of the big things that we're seeing is do you know about Darth Jar Jar? Do you know about Darth Jar Jar?
No.
So
next, no, but thanks for asking. Next, just like Jesus God, no.
The internet has this fanfic about Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord, a secret Sith Lord the entire time through the prequels.
Yes, okay.
And now they're gonna have a skin that has him in the robes shooting shit and being Jar Jar Binks.
We're taking a conversation that happened over popcorn next to the restrooms before we got into the prequel for the 50th time, where you're watching it. I was still there, like in 2000. That's crazy that they're bringing that in.
Yep. They're also showing the first 2 episodes of this new Star Wars Tales of the Underworld show in Fortnite. So the place that you watch it will be, you log into Fortnite and there'll be a screen and you can zoom in on it and everything, and you can watch it in Fortnite. This is the first time, I think, that when episode 7 or something was about to come out, they had a preview that was only in Fortnite. Yeah. So again, it's an interesting idea, but I
have a question for you. What are your thoughts on the character Yoda?
I don't know. Seems like an all right guy. I liked him better when he was a puppet, less when he was a CGI monkey jumping around. But whatever.
Yeah, so you would say you're a fan. Okay, just for my my train of thought. We had a conversation the other day with a friend of mine in the Discord, and he was very much on the adamant that Yoda was an asshole, and Yoda caused a lot of the issues in the Star Wars universe, and he was actually a shithead. And I was like,
now here's the thing.
Next, we're moving to the next story now.
I will say the thing is, I've had this conversation before because Yoda trained Qui-Gon, and Qui-Gon insisted that Anakin become a Jedi even though he was too old to begin the process. Once Qui-Gon got axed, Yoda okayed Obi-Wan training Anakin, even though Obi-Wan was too young to be a Jedi master at the time. So you can make and Yoda did not finish off the Emperor. He ran from the fight with the Emperor at the end of episode 3, leaving the Emperor alive and an ill-trained Anakin Skywalker, and then he retreated to a fucking swamp in the middle of nowhere and didn't do shit until Luke showed up to hang out with him. So there is that you can make that argument.
Then
I don't think it was like
I'm going to say to you the same thing I said to him. You probably ate your fish sticks and you're mad, right? That's it. This is Yoda we're talking about here. This isn't some fucking side character piece that's like, I don't know, he could be good, bad. Come on, it's fucking Yoda. He could have told Luke that there was another. He could have told Luke that Vader was his father before he left, instead of having him get that revelation in the middle of a fucking fight to the death. I'm not saying that Yoda is evil. I'm just saying that a lot of problems in the Star Wars universe can be traced back to one little frog man. So
this is why we can't have nice things. Only in Fortnite.
That's true. Watch my video essay about why Yoda is the worst in Fortnite exclusively. It's just me and Fortnite on voice channel.
Taking RageSelect videos only exclusively in Fortnite.
That's
Come
right.
to the Fortnite to see it. The latest dojo.
We got also, speaking of big space franchises, we got a 4-minute video about that new Dune Awakening MMO that kind of goes over. It's mostly focused on building. Kind of shows like, there's real basic bases that are in the game and how they won't protect you from like sandstorms and stuff. And then it kind of goes over like building bigger, more intricate stuff. One of the things I thought was interesting is that once you've built a base, you can share that blueprint online and you can sell it to other people. So they basically puts up a scaffolding and then they can just kind of go in and build the base like one little piece at a time. If you join one of the different houses, you get different kind of like furniture and decorations and stuff. I don't know, man. I'm a big Dune is my favorite book of all time.
I mean, like, were you going to get into this? This
No.
looks a little interesting.
No, okay. I didn't care as much for the Villeneuve movies. The fact just that they're driving around on the sand.
As soon as I saw that, you were probably like, "What the fuck are you driving at this?"
There's no sand walking. There's shields. They're talking about using shields to protect against a sandstorm. One of the reasons that Dune is because if you activate a shield on the sand in Dune, the worms go crazy and they come and destroy everything that is near the shield, which is like one of the reasons why the Atreides were able to like overcome the Harkonnens, was because they had to fight. They couldn't rely on the shield. Anyway, bullshit. But
damn, you should direct the next fucking Dune movie.
No, I shouldn't. I would be like, no, shut it down and leave it alone. It's a book. Just go read the fucking book. You don't need to watch it with your eyes. Watch it with your mind. Anyway,
can read the book only in Fortnite.
That's right, only in Fortnite.
You go to Fortnite and it's just page by page and it just turns.
Yeah, this looks fine. I mean, for what it is, it's inspired by. It's a unique setting. There's some interesting stuff going on here. I'm not gonna like this because I'm a canon queen for this franchise, and I do give a shit. But it's a survival MMO game, right? Like that's completely at odds to me with what the whole franchise was about. Whatever. But it looks good. It looks fine. It's all on Unreal Engine 5, and it doesn't look too bad.
Until there's a create your sandworm simulator, Jeff will not be interested in playing such things on Dune.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. We got a really brief trailer for Directive 8020. This is actually part of a larger group that I wasn't paying attention to of little character bios. So this is the next game from the Until Dawn guys. I forgot. But this is a space kind of a
Supermassive Games.
Yeah, Supermassive Games. It's a space horror game that looks like it has a lot of kind of like The Thing meets kind of like Solaris almost, because it's like there's like doppelgangers and like weird kind of body horror stuff going on.
They're just trialing out their new movie before it comes out, right? Props to the Supermassive guys that get a movie made out of their game. That's pretty cool.
None of them got credit for that. There's a whole story last week about that where Sony.
I really need to catch up on the podcast last week, apparently.
No, that was in this week, but I cut it for time. There was a whole thing where in the end credits for the movie, they don't even thank the development team. It's the
Jesus God,
they just like say based on a property from Sony, and like nobody gets any the team doesn't get any credit for it. So
when they did it, the sandworms went fucking crazy and destroyed the whole movie product.
They did. But yeah, this looks really interesting. This is the most excited I've been for one of these in a while because it's very different than a lot of the stupid bullshit they've been doing recently. So we'll have to see how that goes. As I mentioned previously, we got the launch trailer for Kyborg, which is basically like kind of Arkham-style beat-em-up combat in a roguelike scenario, but with like a kind of a Running Man thing where you are on a brutal combat game show. And whenever you lose, you can get upgrades to basically add like cybernetic parts to your body to make your next run last even longer. This to me, God, I haven't played it yet, but this to me looks like just a hell of a good time. It's like the actual gameplay is just this kind of top-down third person. It reminds me of old like PS2 games.
Wow, this this reminds me of the Rockstar put out this fucking terrible game called like it's like Crowd Control. No,
State of Emergency.
State of Emergency. And that fucking game was kind of like this, where it was like, oh, you were third person, you went out, you did all this shit, and it was like beat these giant fucking hordes of people. Yeah,
it looks like ultra violent and fucking crazy, and I really want to play it. And again, it's not $80, so there you go. Looks great though. We also got, speaking of games that look good, I'm not sure if I want to play them, but they look good. Days Gone Remastered got a launch trailer, and it launched this week. $50. It's basically just a really, really nice looking and very well put together remaster of the PS4 game Days Gone. It's a zombie apocalypse where you play as a biker that's driving around. A lot of people really, really enjoyed this game. I think the big thing at the time when it came out was the huge hordes of zombies, like Daisy, just these giant like swaths of zombies that would climb up and chase you around and stuff.
I need to check this game out. This looks very on the nose. I didn't even heard of this game before, and I feel like it's because Days Gone sounds a lot like The Last of Us for some reason, or it still feels like that gets caught up into that same, I don't know, mantra genre. So
it's kind of like that.
It's a miss for me. I need to check this out.
Yeah, I mean, it's $50, or if you have the original, you can upgrade for $10. It runs really well. I just got done doing dojos for it. It's not my cup of tea, but the people that like it really like it. It's kind of like just, it's a nice open world game. It's got some stealth elements. It's got some puzzle elements. You're kind of trying to survive in this Pacific Northwest thing with all these, like, the freakers, the zombies that are around with this kind of grizzled, like, motorcycle club guy. Yeah, and it's translated very well. They had a PC version that came out a few years back, and then this new version has PS5 Pro enhancements, and it's also got like a horde mode and a bunch of kind of stuff on it. So it's not bad. Not my thing, but hey, it's out there. Let's see. We got speaking of blowing stuff up, we got the weapon showcase trailer for Shotgun Cop Man, which is out now, showing off a bunch of the different kind of crazy stuff. This is the one where you are going to hell to arrest Satan for crimes because you were the Shotgun Cop Man.
Goddamn right, Shotgun Cop Man going to arrest Satan.
Yep. This is a Devolver Digital joint, so I'm sure you'll see it on RageSelect at some point. It's very like minimalistic, but it looks like it has a big focus on just these kind of like using guns to jump and juke
propel
and
yourself. Yeah,
it looks like Super Meat Boy, but you're using a shotgun instead of a jump button. So, and it looks incredibly ultraviolet and silly, and I kind of dig that. So
at the same time, it looks also very. It looks wild, but also very like the control seems to be perfect. You haven't played it yet, you know what I mean? Like it looks very on point. Like it's every move seems to be very strategic.
Yeah,
and that seems like a lot of fun to try to go through these levels.
Yeah, it's I'm really interested in seeing how it turns out because this type of like pure mechanics game usually isn't my cup of tea, but this does look absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I don't know,
like an Earthworm Jim meets Super Meat Boy kind of. Yeah, I don't know. In that one level scenario, I don't know.
I could see it. We got the launch trailer for Skin Deep that I was talking about before. This is Blendo Games. This is 30 Flights of Loving Quadrilateral Cowboy. Die Hard on a spaceship where you play as insurance commando Nina Pasadena, and you have to take down pirates. Basically, I love this game. I beat this last week because it turned out that it wasn't super long. It's an incredibly fun game. It's got a great art style. There's all this kind of contrived bullshit. You've got a third lung, so you could just be in space. That doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
Okay.
All the cats in the game have they're just square heads with cats on them, and when you rescue them, it goes meow, and they jump out. It's
awesome.
It's whenever you kill the space pirates, their heads pop off and they slowly go back to these respawn points. So you have to get their heads and then either throw them out in space or flush them down the toilet or throw them away or stuff. It's really great. We're gonna have a video for it next week, and I love it. It's just good, dumb, clean, fun.
Very batshitty, but in so many fun ways.
Yep, you've got an auto defibrillator that you can use once a game to basically bring yourself back to life. All the ships have different like themes, and they've got secrets and stuff on them, and there's like a meta narrative. It's great. It was great, and it was only about 8 hours long, maybe 6. Bite-sized pieces. Every level was like a different challenge with a different kind of theme to it. And I thought it was fantastic. I think everybody should check this out. It's also like not very expensive. I forgot. It was like $8. What did I say? Like a 18 bucks. So there you go. We got the official release date for Grandma No, which is one of these like physics games where you play as this grandma and you're taking care of your grand baby and you're doing just kind of crazy stuff. But it's one of those games kind of like a surgery simulator where the controls are really wonky, and so you end up trying to do tasks but then kind of destroying everything and fucking shit up and flying around and going crazy as a weird grandma. I think it looks like just a boatload of fun. It looks like super fun.
It looks stupid and fun, and I like these little Wario game type mini games. Looks like they got as well.
Yeah.
Which I always think there for some reason that always hits me in a very feel good. Like, hey, in the game you're gonna be tasked away with these segments of like little fun like mini games and stuff. Like I always found it to be much more enjoyable than your typical like, hey, point A to point B to point C to point D to point E. Like this looks fun. I like this.
It reminds me of like Octodad, like that kind of that same kind of like silly type of thing. So, and that's coming out May 22nd. So at the end of the month. There you go. Yeah, let's see. From there, we got the Switch release trailer for Please Touch the Artwork 2. This is a strange kind of like like a kind of adventure game, and then also kind of a narrative game where you're going into basically like famous paintings that have been kind of animated, and there's like some hidden object stuff. And it looks very silly. It's another kind of very silly game. The first one was a little bit more abstract, but this one seems like it's a little bit more narrative / concrete. Can't tell exactly what's going on, but you have this kind of skull guy, and then there's like a masked figure that you're kind of chasing through all these different paintings.
Is that Jesus? That looks like Jesus.
Which one? Oh, in the middle there? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's Jesus. That's funny.
And yeah, it's got pretty decent reviews. It looks kind of interesting. I don't know. Maybe
there's games like this though that like it really kind of sparks the mind of what is a video game.
Yeah.
And it's something that should be appreciated even if you don't play it, because it is doing something completely different. Than any other game that you've seen before. This actually reminds me more of like a Crash Box. I don't know if you even know what that is, but in HBO a long time ago, they had a series called Crash Box that was a narrative little like clip show that would have these interesting different like characters for these like mini games that they'll go through. So it was like one was like a Pictionary thing, and one was like figure out the word thing, or it was like shot in segments with like stop motion, but it was very similar to this. And what was great about it is that it invoked a lot of imagination. So I think games like this will probably do better in terms of the creative spark and just people learning and having fun than like Assassin's Creed, because it's a very different it's based on a lot of different like ideologies. Like I just find it to be more interesting. Like this stuff doesn't come along every day.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is. I don't know. I've never played this before. I didn't play the first one, but maybe I'll have to check out the second one. It's coming out May 23rd. So the day after Grandma No. Let's see. We also got the announcement trailer for this is a game called Mind Diver. I hadn't heard of this before, but whenever I do the trailers, I just pull up stuff that looks interesting and then I kind of go through it. This is a very strange game. It's very literal. You're like a diver that is like going through like this kind of mind palaces. But then a lot of the characters in here, they look like three-dimensional scans of real world things. So like you're kind of going through like these tableaus of like frozen people in this kind of very chunky style, and then kind of trying to figure out what's going on. But then the whole thing is that you're sort of swimming through these memories in a very strange way. It was just a very striking trailer that like the images on it looked very different than a lot of the other things that I've seen before.
Everything that I just said.
Yeah.
Repeat here. This is extremely interesting. And this reminds me of a game called LSD, I think, on the PlayStation, or maybe it was called LSD. It was a game that was only released in Japan, and it was a game that would like throw you into these random scenery like you were in a dream. And so it would basically like it was kind of hard to understand what was actually happening, but you would progress. And it's kind of like this, where like you're probably thrown amongst a lot of confusing things that look similar or very familiar. But yeah, these games are so much fun from the idea standpoint.
Yep.
And putting it together way different than a fucking regular video game that you would play would be.
And you know what? I bet it's not $80.
I bet it's not. I bet it's $8. Drop the O.
Yeah, it looks very interesting though. Let's see. We also got the launch trailer for the Mr. Rabbit Magic Show, which is a free game that you can get if you are a fan of the Rusty Lake games. These are games with a very specific art style that is kind of like strange, minimalistic cartoons. They're very like kind of disturbing games with a lot of strange iconography and stuff. And to celebrate their 10th anniversary, they put out the Mr. Rabbit Magic Show, as well as I think they put out some kind of like 10-minute, it was like a short that was based on this that's based on this kind of whole franchise. I don't know. I've played a bunch of these and they're really interesting games. The Rusty Lake games, because they all have this very like striking art style that kind of it's cartoonish, but it's a little bit like disturbing at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know how you would describe that. It there's definitely probably a word that synapse like as a good synapsis of it, but I can't think of it.
Yeah,
it definitely feels very God, yeah, this is very strange.
It's strange and off-putting, but not necessarily like ridiculously so. Like it's just much more like I've never seen these images before that I'm seeing. Like It's very creative.
It's like cartoony Lovecraftian or something. It's very
I really like. There was a game called The Past Within that was a game where one person plays with like on the PC, and then another person plays on an app on the phone, and you have to work together to kind of like to solve these puzzles, and it was very interesting.
Unique. I've never seen a game do that.
Yep. Let's see. We also got a trailer for a game I'd never heard of called Habromania, which is this kind of hand animated game that looks like it's very Alice in Wonderland coded. The main character is very big Alice vibe. It seems like it's a twisted Wonderland where Alice is actually mentally ill, which I mean that's the whole fucking thing. But like
not too dissimilar, but different.
Yeah. I don't know. It also looks very interesting. I appreciate the kind of 2D hand animated aspect of a lot of the iconography in here.
I kind of blew my load on that first one where I was like, oh, it's so different. I was like, you've had like 5 back-to-back games. I was like, yeah, that pretty much sums up exactly what I said the previous time.
Also this one.
This one as well.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, these are very interesting games that you're going to spend, hey, don't go to Taco Bell and eat in one night. That's the price that it requires to have a really interesting experience. And I can tell you that any of these games that we just looked at, you spend the money, you play it, I guarantee you'll remember something about it more than just any other $50 game that you could buy, right? Any other sports game that you could just put money into, right?
Yeah. This one also seems like it's going to be released in chapters, because they said the first chapter is coming September of this year. So
nice.
There you go. We got the teaser announcement for Amanda the Adventurer 3. I don't know how I feel about this, because Amanda the Adventurer 1 was pretty fun. It was kind of like a lo-fi learning game from like the 90s. Like an old TV show of like real early CG stuff. And then the second one was in a library, and I don't know, the puzzles on it were a little bit too hard for Amanda and I, which is saying quite a bit. But there's a teaser now for a third one that appears to be in, I don't know, like an office or something. There's like a sewer part, and then there's also, I don't know, some of these stuff sometimes start to creak a little bit under the weight of their own lore, where as they have to keep continuing, it deviates too much from the original concept to the point where it doesn't have the same charm.
They try to do either a different type of game, right? A different platform, or they're just basically like, we're going to make a different game, but keep the same lore. They're almost better just to make an entirely different game if they're going to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this one will be a course correct. It'll work better than the second one did for me. For me, it was just the fact that the second part, the puzzles were too hard. I couldn't figure them out. And it was like, well, that's no fun. I mean, if you can't figure anything out, then But some point in 2025, we're probably getting a Man of the Adventure 3. Let's see. We got the launch trailer for Invaders of Oakvale, which is the new expansion for V Rising. I love V Rising. Blake, I don't know if you've ever played V Rising. It's like a survival game, but you play as a vampire. And so you have to you build a castle, you go out, you terrorize people, and you suck their blood. And there's like a bunch of bosses that you have to go fight.
It sounds very vampire-ish if you're
yeah.
I've never heard of this.
But it's really compelling, strangely. You can't, during the daytime you'll burst into flames, so you have to do most of your stuff at night, but then that means you've got the daytime for crafting and stuff. And they added this new expansion called Oakvale that adds in 2 new weapons and a big new area into the game. It's very fun. I haven't totally beaten it, but I've played a lot of it. And when this came out, they also overhauled some of the stats and some of the different combat stuff in the game. So I'm interested to kind of take a look at it because I like this developer, and the fact that they're still putting out expansions is great. So V Rising. Let's see. We also got the release date trailer for the Throes of the Watchmaker expansion for Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars being this kind of Chrono Trigger-esque RPG. I really, really, really like this game.
Didn't get a chance to play this, but this looks so awesome for what you were telling me and all the things that I'm seeing now too.
The first 90 minutes are a little bit slow, but after that, the game gets going and it never fucking stops.
I mean, what JRPG isn't fucking slow at the beginning? You know what I mean? There's not a lot of... I mean, maybe the Octopath Traveler was kind of throws you right in, but I mean, there's some build up to it. You got to tell a story.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they get most of the backstory out of the way by this long exposition in the slow early parts. But once the game gets going, it really is a solid RPG. And this is a free expansion where you have this kind of circus themed thing and these kind of new powers and new enemies and stuff, new bosses, which all is great. And I just don't know. See, I don't know if I would ever go back to it because I 100%ed this, and I don't know if I want to open that can of worms again.
No, I get it. It's the same thing with Persona for me. The most interesting thing about JRPGs is that I remember playing a JRPG when I was younger with my cousin at his house, and I have never been able to remember the game.
Ooh.
I know elements about it,
yeah,
but it's I can tell you that it seemed very Chrono Trigger-like, but you were in a town and you went into a cave and there was a well and it wasn't Zelda, and it's just there's so all these basic shit, but in my head I can see it.
Yeah.
And every time I see Sea of Stars or something that is a similar vein, I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the game that I've been thinking about that has never existed until now. You know what I mean?
Secret of Mana?
Head. I mean, I don't think so, because I think I've actually ended up... I've gone in through these games and I'm like, there has to be... Maybe it is Secret of Mana.
It's the closest thing that I know of to Chrono Trigger before Chrono Trigger came out, was Secret of Mana.
I guess it's possible. It just doesn't... It feels too much of the fairy tale more than this one felt more real. But hey, I got to go play Secret of Mana maybe to figure out. Yeah. But what I was getting at is maybe this never existed. Maybe this is just in my head of the perfect JRPG. And Sea of Stars really feels like that to me, that element. And a lot of it has to do with Chrono Trigger. I do like Chrono Trigger, but I need to check it out.
Yep.
Need to check
out May 20th, I believe, is when that expansion comes out. And let's see, we got a trailer for Arc Raiders' Tech Test 2. Arc Raiders is another of these extraction shooters where you're fighting you're fighting NPCs, but then there's also other teams on the map that will attempt to like take your shit. You're trying to gather resources and take them to an extraction point. You could fuck over your own team. You could steal stuff from other teams. This is a big thing that everybody's trying to get on this bandwagon. I'm not entirely sure whether anybody is interested in actually playing these. Like, this looks fine. It's kind of got a weird retro punk like aesthetic to it, but I gotta be honest, man, it's gonna take a lot for me to play a multiplayer. Maybe I'm just out of it, maybe it's just like that's what the kids are into these days. The kids want to play an extraction shooter. I don't want to play extraction shooters, but I'm an old man, and these games aren't for me anymore.
Well, there's actually a very large following, a huge fan following with seals for this game, like actual animals. Arc. Okay. That was my one dad joke. Oh, just trying it on.
Oh boy, it's late night.
This man.
And then let's wrap it up as far as the trailers go with Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. This is the new. It's kind of a some kind of Souls-like game that's coming that has a kind of a bird motif to it, some ninjas and birds and Sekiros and stuff. We got a look at a few of the pre-order outfits for the game, which look pretty cool. There's some kind of
like pretty decent. Oh, that's kind of cool. There's a lot of these cool ass something about the Elden Ring and the Dark Souls I guess fucking wave of games that have come through. They've really taken bosses to the next fucking level because they put in so many elements of like, this is a cool ass fucking character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this one looks, it's got a kind of a weirdness to it that I like quite a bit. I want to know a little bit more about it. Mostly, I just want to know whether it's going to be something I can actually fucking play, because sometimes these guys get so up in their like Sekiro combo like mechanics that I'm like, I just can't fucking do this. Like,
whipping yourself of like, just like, I need it to be harder.
Yeah.
Give it to me harder. Like, just seriously, it's like, bro, just stop it. Just play a regular game. You don't have to kill yourself.
But this also is announced the deluxe edition of the game, and that the whole thing is coming out July 24th of this year. So we'll get a chance to take a look at all these new costumes and this game. And then let's go ahead and wrap it up with a few more stories. We got the PlayStation Plus games for May, which are pretty good. So Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, which is the boomer shooter in the 40k universe, is really fun. Ark Survival Ascended, I don't really know. I've never played Ark. I just don't know. But Balatro.
It's actually very well beloved by seals.
Nope.
Go ahead with Balatro, though.
Balatro, which is great. That game deserves more attention. It's super fun. Have you played Balatro, right?
I have. I feel like I'm very much a novice, though, because I have yet to complete it to the point of like, I'm really just trying to get my next billion-point game. You know what I mean? Of like, I just can't put the fucking mathematics together yet, but I will at some point. But it's been a great time suck so far.
Absolutely. Great mobile game. I always say great mobile game, because it's just, you just buy it and you play it. It's just that game. There's no bullshit to it. Just a great mobile game.
I'm actually going to London soon, and it's one of those 10-hour flights. I need something to do. Hey, Balatro's right there.
There you go. Let's see. We also got a release date for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate is coming to the PlayStation and the Xbox this summer. This was an Apple Arcade exclusive that I think eventually came to the Switch, but is now coming to normal consoles. May 20th. There's also a physical edition that's being made by what's that place? The Pipe and Hot Collector's Edition by
Pipe and Hot Collectors.
Super Evil Megacorp. August 26th. So if you want a physical edition, they've got that. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game that's based on like Hades. Like it plays like Hades, where
that would be sick, actually. Yeah.
You get like power-ups in the middle of a run, and then it's got a meta-narrative that continues going. Actually, there's been a few good TMNT games recently, and I think that this is one of them. I just didn't want to play it on the Switch because it kind of looked like ass, and the frame rate was low. So I might give this thing another crack when it finally comes to a console that I can get a high frame rate out of. So
steaming hot Carl version. I mean, piping hot version or whatever the fuck it's called.
Actually, it is on Steam. It is on Steam. But
I've always been a fan of TMNT beat 'em ups, and anything that combines Hades as well with another fun beat 'em up that you can play with your friends.
Yeah,
there's no downside to that.
there's a what was the other one? There was one that was like Persona. That had like social links. Actually, that might be the one that I'm thinking of. What was it? There was one that had like a. No, it was the tie-in to the animated thing, the Mutants Unleashed. I guess is that what it was called?
Where like you had to take care of each personas of the turtles. We're like, oh, Michelangelo might be sad, so you have to give him more pizza or something.
There was like it's like a roguelike where you're going out and you're kind of doing like these individual little like beat 'em up missions, but then in between you were like raising social links with various people, and like it had a kind of a strange Persona style RPG element to it. And I was like, in a Ninja Turtles game,
and in this economy,
in this economy, it seemed like it was pretty good, but I just I don't know. There's a lot of turtle stuff out there, and it's hard to know which to really get into. So, we got a ratings. We got one of them ratings board announcements that says that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is almost certainly coming to the Switch 2. There was a Saudi Arabia ratings board listing that basically confirmed it. So that's not like crazy. Considering that I think the last one
Saudis have leaked the Dragon Ball Z games on Switch too.
Usually it's Korea, I think, Korean rating board. I think the last one had Wii only, like Budokai Tenkaichi 3 or whatever, 10, whatever it was called on the Wii had like motion controls, and so some people I think are a little bit like, oh man, what if there are motion controls for this one on the Switch too? Because it does have the Joy-Cons. So I don't know.
You can literally just look like an absolute tool.
Yeah.
You just see like somebody like playing like.
Yes, because I know Michael.
I fucking love Michael. I don't mind. He had so much fun with the Indiana Jones game. Let him do the Dragon Ball joystick controller thing.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
No, it's great. Let's see. Marvel Contest of Champions, which was a kind of a rudimentary beat 'em up on phones, is coming to PC. This was obviously a gacha thing on phones, so it has like 300 different characters, which is like a huge lineup they've been adding to for years. I think it'd be interesting to take a look at this and see if playing with a controller works, because it's obviously being a phone game, it's going to be a lot more simplistic than fucking City of the Wolves or something like that. But it could still be fun, especially if it has the kind of pull stuff where you're like trying to get better characters, and it does have like a little single player mission. So I don't know, we'll see.
Interesting. Coming
to the PC at some point this year. Let's see. These are so. There's a Game of Thrones game called King's Road that was in early access. It was like a phone game that a lot of people had a lot of problems with.
Because it was very much promoted. It looked like not a phone game.
Yes.
But it was promoted as, okay, got it. Yep.
Yes. But I could tell because it was Netmarble. But it is coming out of early access on May 21st. I don't know. I don't care about Game of Thrones, and I don't care about gacha games on phones. So like this was just like a total miss for me. Also, it's an early access, so it's not even done. And I was like, strike 3 and you're out.
Story.
Yeah. So let's just move past that. We got a recent interview with the developers of that Skate game. They're making a new Skate game that is going to be an online massive multiplayer game. And according to this this interview, there's the tiredness. Will not be playable offline. You must be online to play this. I'm sure that's going to work out real well for you, EA. See my previous EA comments about not being able to make video games that I want to play. So
there's a few things in this game that I wish will exist. Wish you could smoke weed in the game, because if you're going to be skating, that's part of it. I wish you can just throw yourself in front of people.
Yep.
That's also very important. So like, you're forcing me to be online with people. Guess what? I'm gonna make their skating lives so damn hellish by just getting off the board and running in front of them as they're trying to do a trick. That sounds like so much more. There's so much more meta involved in this game. If they're gonna make it, you have to be online with all these other fucking people.
Yep.
I love the skate games. The skate games are so much fun to just go explore and keep launching yourself from the highest points of the map. And I don't know, there's a lot of fun things to be had in skate. And I think it took Tony Hawk to the next level. And I'm excited for it. I hope that it's a big thing.
Yeah, I thought you were just describing Schedule 1 again there for a minute, where you're like, I want to smoke weed and jump in front of people.
You can buy skateboards in Schedule 1.
You can. It's the best way to get around early on. Yeah, you don't want to run. You want to use a skateboard. Sonic Rumble has been delayed. Sonic Rumble was basically Fall Guys, but in the Sonic universe. It was going to be a phone, and I believe there might have been a PC. Oh, no, it was PC and then phone.
iOS and Android.
Yep. It is now. It was supposed to
devastated. You wanted this to come out, and you were hoping
it was supposed to come out May 8th. It's been delayed indefinitely with no additional updates. So there you go. Oh shit, we're out of time. All right, quick. Flappy Bird is back without all that cryptocurrency bullshit. There was a company that re-released Flappy Bird for the first time in a long time with a bunch of Web3 bullshit in it. They pulled it down. They put it back up. It doesn't have that stuff anymore. I don't know why anybody want to play Flappy Bird in the year 2025. Whatever.
Flappy Bird.
There's going to be 3 new Xbox controllers, according to leaks from the Xbox 2 podcast. A new basic version, a new intermediate version, and then a new elite version, all of which will be a little bit more expensive than what's going on right now. So
I thought you meant new designs. I was like, why wouldn't they just pick one? Okay, got it.
Yep. And then we got a few quick things here. Pokemon is selling life-sized Eevees. They've done this before with a few other things, but Eevee is a Pokemon that comes with so many different evolutions and these are some big-ass plushes where you can now, if you want to cuddle up on the couch with a life-sized Pokemon, you can do that. I don't know.
Oh, please don't. Please don't go.
It's
don't.
not my thing, but
well, just like I'm looking at these things and I'm like, please, for the love of God, don't make the thing. Don't make Rule 34 a thing. I will say.
Oh, they already made a Gardevoir. They already made one of these that's a Gardevoir, which is the most like sexualized Pokemon out there. So.
Taking the sexualized part of it, because the next thing is going to be very weird. Can you imagine if this was my next thing? Like, oh, Blake.
Oh, Pokemon?
No. Not just Pokemon, like life-size plushy Pokemon. It's like, oh, Blake has all of the starter Pokemon, all 151. Like,
oh, God.
You got a fucking Gyarados in my closet, dude. It's coming out, man.
Let's see, another Pokemon news. There's a guy, he was like an audio engineer for a lot of different games called Shinya Owada, who has like a very kind of just a small Let's Play channel in Japan. And he put out a video. It's so strange to see what Let's Play things look like in Japan, but he loaded up like Pokemon Red on like this game that he was playing, and his save file was corrupted, and it just started the game over, and it's triggered a lot of like PTSD in people of being like, oh man, when your whole Pokedex full of the monsters that you've named and you've caught them,
oh no,
and then it comes up, and so part of this was him kind of realizing like, oh no, and then talking about like how he's got to like move on and find something else, and then it's just very sad. It's a very sad day. It's caused a lot of people online to be like, oh, I know that feel, bro. But it's
so sad next to this giant Squirtle with fucking sunglasses.
Yeah, well, that's his mascot. He's taken it to like museums and stuff, like the little Squirtle.
This guy's my friend.
Yeah. And last but not least, this is a fun Nintendo story. They recently had a Switch 2 they had a Switch 2 event in Japan where people could come and play the Switch 2 before it came out. And this one guy who was a speedrunner waited in line, and one of the games was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so he waited in line, and then when he got there, he just speed ran the end of the game. Like, because they had a save game where you start later on, and he has the way to basically beat the game like with no... naked,
there is
no hit.
There is, if you're into the speedrunning community at all and familiar, there is a way to beat this game pretty early on once you get to the point of even getting to the castle, because you can just basically damage crit yourself through the whole thing.
Yep.
And it's impressive. And to see somebody actually go and do this, why not?
Yeah.
Because this is what they do anyway. To speedrun a game and be super good at it, you have to put in like close to 1,000+ hours.
Yeah.
I could just imagine him going, yeah, why wouldn't I just go and beat it? Let's just play it on the Switch 2 and see how it goes.
I mean, the answer to that would be like you would want to go, play like Mario Kart on the Switch 2 and see what the new games are. But the answer here, it is interesting because it does mean that this is likely the first person to ever beat Nintendo or Breath of the Wild on the Switch 2.
On the Switch, yeah.
Yeah. So, go check it out. I forgot what the name of the channel was. Let's see. Ikabuze. I'm not even sure. Their channel is like all in Japanese. So, but yeah, pretty fun little video to watch them do that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the podcast. Holy shit, we did it! We got to the end of another podcast.
We sped run through that.
Yeah. Blake, what would you like to tell the fine folks at home where they can find you? Would you like to tell the fine folks at home where they can find you when you're not over here reading out the news with old Jeff?
I'm making a lot of weed, making a lot of meth over in whatever city in Schedule 1. No, I'm just playing. You can come over to Junk Food Cinema. We're over in that Discord, patreon.com/junkfoodcinema. It's a great community, just like RageSelect. A lot of cool people, a lot of cool things to talk about and do. We are actually getting ready to do script readings, live script readings. So like basically, going through your favorite portion of a script in a movie, whether that's The Thing, whether that's Ocean's 11, whatever, you can actually then, if you want to play a part, you can. So we're trying to do a lot more fun things that engage the community out there. So come on and hang out once you're done subscribing to RageSelect.
Like a virtual table read.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
It allows people to, I don't know, some people get a little nervous, but I feel like behind a microphone, behind a camera, in your own home, you might feel a little bit more, I don't know, adventurous with us. So if you want to ever come out and try something, yeah, just check out the Discord and definitely let you know.
Nice. And yeah, patreon.com/RageSelect. It does take me a fair amount of time to put all this stuff together every week.
There's a lot of links every week, guys. Just one fucking episode.
I read all that Infinity Nikki bullshit so that I can recite it without having to look too far into it. And so yeah, if you appreciate the show and you want it to keep going, patreon.com/RageSelect is where you can go to do that. Now, Blake, if you'll excuse me, I have a beer, I have a Gundam, I have a beer and a Gundam, and they need attending to right now.